All right, so welcome everyone. We are officially getting started. This is a little bit of an experiment for me to see about what's the most effective way to run these online trainings and seminars. So there may be some technical glitches. If so, totally understand that's going to happen. But we're going to have some fun today. So we're going to give a few minutes here as everyone else is joining us, and I invite you, as we're getting started, to just make sure you've got a pen and paper, some of your stuff all ready to go, everything that you need to be able to make this a productive day. This is intended to be a workshop, and and it's a little different than some of the seminars that maybe I've created in the past or some of the other things that I've done. My intention with this isn't to just be talking at you for the next couple hours, but actually just to take you through some processes to help you get really clear in your life and what you want. So right now I just need to test, make sure that we're not experiencing too many technical difficulties. We're just going to make sure that sound is working. I think it's working. What would be helpful for me is if you're listening right now, if you're viewing, if you could comment in the comment box below. We're going to be using the comments a lot to assist you in going through this process. Like I said, this is meant to be a workshop, and I want it to be like really interactive. I want this to be something that's very engaging, very useful, so that the time that you spend this morning is extremely productive. So if you could go ahead and chime in the conversation, make a comment below, just let me know that it's working. And like I said, a lot of people are going to be joining us as we go along this morning, and hopefully we have this active conversation. We'll see. I mean, this is kind of an exploration. Originally, I had planned on doing this as a live event at this conference center. And that's how I've done the last couple of years, but for whatever reason, things shifted, and I just decided this is what I want to do. So go ahead and comment below. Let me know your name and where you're from. So just go ahead and comment in the comment box, leave your name and where you're from. This is your chiming in, so I know who's actually here. Okay, good. We got Nasa on the line. Sweet, welcome. All right, so we're going to dive into this. Like I've got so much I want to do, so much I want to cover, and I'm really excited about making this as productive as possible. So we're going to begin with an exploration of where it is that you've been in this last year that you want to continue, and then explore what it is that you're wanting to change. What are the big changes you're wanting to experience? For those of you that don't know much of my story, my background, first of all, I'm Gerald Rogers, just in case you didn't know that. I always assume people know that they're watching, but every once in a while I'll have someone at my events, who are you now? I'm like, yeah, so I'm Gerald. I've got 4 beautiful kids. I am a passionate father. I am a passionate entrepreneurial coach, and work with a lot of people in growing their business. And I also have stepped into being a relationship. I help people in terms of creating breakthroughs in their relationships. And that all evolved after a really painful divorce that I went through, and going through and asking questions, okay, how did I get here, and what am I going to do different moving forward? I still love working with entrepreneurs, and my biggest intention is helping people really tap into the divine unlimited source within them, and help them really understand what it means to be a conscious creator. And the reason why this conversation is important for me is because I've noticed in my own life how when I'm stuck in being an unconscious reactor, how stuck, how frustrated I get to be. I notice that when I'm an unconscious reactor, I tend to be blaming situations, and things don't work out, and I get sucked into negativity. But what I notice for me, and also for other people that I work with, with is when they can step into their power as being a conscious creator, then extraordinary things are possible in their life. And in our life, it's true that when we are acting and operating as a conscious creator, we can have the relationships that we desire. We can have the physical body that we want. We can have the wealth and income that we desire and deserve. And so we're going to talk a little bit about this. And for those of you that have been through the big or some of my other breakthroughs, this is going to be a review in this conversation. And I hope you're okay with that, because in this pathway of learning, in this pathway to mastery, repetition is the mother of all learning. And so as much as you've heard this before, I'm just going to invite you to open your mind and ask, okay, how can I apply this more in my life? So we're going to have a conversation on what it means to be a conscious creator. What does it really mean to be a conscious creator? Versus an unconscious reactor. And I think this is a critical conversation to have as we look at the results that you want to create in 2015. All of our power comes from when we're able to stand as a conscious creator and really tap into that divine source within us, but a lot of times people don't even understand what that means. So I want to actually have you chime in right now, and in the comment box, I want you to write out what are some words that you think of when you hear the word unconscious reactor. When someone is playing the role of the victim in their life, what are some things that you notice? And just go ahead and type and write, because I wanted to make this as interactive as possible. And once again, this is not, like when you comment there, even though it's a Facebook comment thing, it's not being posted to Facebook, so you don't have to worry about that. And I really want you to be as engaged as possible during this time, because I know it makes it way more interesting for me, and this is your event, not mine. Like I really want this to be something that you grow from. So just go ahead and write, what are some things that you think of when you hear the word unconscious reactor? What are some things? All right, so the root of being an unconscious reactor is where we play the role of the victim. Or we're constantly blaming other situations, other people, you know, the government, whatever it might be, for the challenges that we're experiencing. And I want you to notice how whenever we play the role of the victim, we're giving our power away. And as you look back at 2014 and the things that didn't work out, the things that you felt stuck or frustrated or disappointed with, can you notice how there might have been some of this energy of the unconscious reactor that was there? Have you been blaming others? Other things about the reactors, they're unaccountable. They're always focusing to blame others for the situations that they're in. They tend to be very negative, and they focus on the problem rather than focusing on the solution. And they put all of their attention on what's wrong. What happens when we do that? What happens when we focus on the problem and the challenge, and we start to feel sorry for ourselves? It just draws us into this, like Alan said, darkness. You know, the other thing that Nasa just mentioned is that there's, you know, we get stuck in defending and trying to defend our position, and we speak from fear and lack rather than abundance. Like Dave mentioned, it's a very gloom and doom energy, right? And you've been around people like this, right? Or it seems like everything in their world is wrong, and they're constantly stuck complaining. They're not complaining with an intention to fix it. They're just finding things that are wrong. And so, you know, this isn't a very, I don't know, I mean, it sounds harsh, but it kind of feels like when you're around these people, they're energy vampires. You know, you're around them and you just get drained and you get weak and you get tired. So other things that represent the victim is they tend to be very, they tend to be very reactive, meaning they wait for others to tell them what to do, right? They're constantly like, they're rather than being proactive, They're waiting to be instructed and told what to do, and if they're not told what to do, and something falls apart or something doesn't work, then it validates their victimhood, meaning that they're able to point the finger and blame. What are some other things that come up for you when you think of what an unconscious reactor, someone that plays the role of victim in their life? And think about how this plays out in a relationship. Think about how this plays out in our body. Think about how this plays out in our money, in our financial situation. So Christina said, oh, she just figured out how to use a chat. All right, so perfect. So at the end of the day, the reactor is constantly giving their power away to other people. And because they're not able to take accountability for their life, they are stuck in a powerless situation. Now, I really want you to look at this and think, have you known people that show up like this? And I would encourage you to look further is like, do you know that person intimately? Do you happen to live in that person's body? As conscious as I try to be in my life, I still notice myself going into these patterns sometimes, where I'm being reactive rather than proactive, when I'm being negative versus focusing on the positive, versus focusing on the solution, or I try to defend myself rather than trying to listen and take accountability. And I want you to see how this creates, like, what's the fruit? What's the fruit of these things? I really believe, I love this analogy of a garden. And if you've read my book, The Marriage Advice I Wish I Would Have Had, or come to my events, you know that I use this analogy a lot, because I really believe that we are constantly nurturing these different seeds in our life. And it's like we have this orchard, or we have this garden, and we all have this dream of the type of life that we want to have. We all have this dream for the fruit that we want to experience in our life, in our relationships, in our health, in our money, and in our emotions. And what most people fail to realize is that this is the fruit in their garden is completely theirs to create. And at one level, that seems like a very simple concept. I mean, especially for those of you that have been in the journey of awakening, the journey of taking accountability, the journey of creation, like, you understand this. But for a lot of people, they get stuck in, if something's wrong in their relationship, what do? They end up pointing the finger of blame to their spouse or to their partner and saying, well, if only I had a different partner, if only I had a different spouse, then I'd be able to have the type of relationship I want. Or they look in terms of their body, and if they're sick, or if they're fat, or if they're, have disease or whatever, they blame their body and said, well, it's just my genes. Or, I can't have a healthy body because of this, because I've got a sore knee, or I've got this health problem, or this. Like, they're constantly focusing on why their fruit in their garden isn't theirs. In terms of money, like, you see this pattern show up like that too. Where when someone's playing the role of the unconscious reactor, and they're not creating the financial results that they want, what do? They're blaming their boss, they're blaming the economy, they blame Obama, right? Everyone's got a reason to blame Obama for something. They have all of these reasons to say, this fruit that's on my tree isn't mine. So our first stage of awakening to our power is taking responsibility for our own results, for our own tree. And if there's something wrong with my relationships, that means somehow I've created them. And I want you to look at how, if we're playing these roles of the victim, of the unconscious reactor, And each of these things like is seeds. Like what's the natural fruit that evolves from that? Well, obviously the natural fruit is going to be dysfunction, disease, unhappiness. It's going to be scarcity. It's going to be a very restricting, just like Christina said. Like it's a very very restrictive experience where it's like these weeds like creep into our garden and begin suffocating what we want. So these are the seeds for the weeds in our life, right? And let's face it, we all get sucked into this sometimes. But our power in moving forward over this upcoming year requires us to shift our energy to being that of a conscious creator. And so once again, I'm sure this is a review for many of you in terms of what it means to be a conscious creator, but I really want you to ask yourself, okay, how can I apply this more fully in 2015 than I did in 2014? And what are ways that I can step into more full accountability for my life? All of our power to create the results that we do want, create that fruit that we really want to taste, comes from taking accountability for what's there and then beginning to plant the right seeds to create that fruit. So when we look at being a conscious creator, once again, go ahead and type and share what are some things that you think about someone who is accountable in their life, who is a conscious creator. So someone who's a conscious creator, they're going to be, rather than blame, they focus on accountability. Rather than being the victim, they are the victor, right? They're constantly looking at how they can be better. They're always interested in self-improvement. This is a huge key. We're going to be talking a little bit more about, this is one of the core characteristics of top achievers, how top achievers are hungry for self-improvement. They're hungry to become better. And because of that, they are very humble and they're open to feedback. They're willing to look at their own challenges, their own blocks, their own stuff that has kept them from creating what they want. They experience a lot of freedom. Like Christina said, a lot of freedom in their ability to create because they're focused on the possibility rather than the problem. Do conscious creators experience problems? Absolutely, like all the time. They experience a lot of problems, just like the unconscious reactor. I don't know if there's a difference between who experiences like more problems, but the difference is the conscious creator really chooses to see those problems as possible. And I like how David said, at the end of the day, conscious creators are dead sexy. This is true. Like this is 100% true. And they are more sexy, aren't they? You've been around people that are unconscious reactors and you don't want to be around them. But everyone wants to be, everyone's drawn to those people that are conscious creators. So yeah, they're definitely sexy. They're focusing on joy. They tend to be very optimistic, happy. They really focus on not only finding joy for themselves, but they focus on bringing joy to others. They focus on really contributing to the world in a meaningful way. And I want to thank everyone for commenting and sharing. And that makes it way more fun for me, way more interactive. And again, I appreciate that. So when you look at being a conscious creator, at the end of the day, the conscious creator is able to step into a space of power because they know that the results of their life are their creation. And this is the foundation that we begin with as we're exploring, okay, how do we create more dynamic results in 2015? So through this conversation today, I really want you to explore, and feel free to ask questions. Like I want to have this be an engaging thing, and there's going to be some times where I specifically give you an opportunity to work in your own workbooks or your own journal. So hopefully you have those ready. And then there's going to be specific Q&A times where we address specific questions that are coming up for you. But over the course of today, we're going to be talking about what are core traits of top achievers? How do we get more clarity in terms of the goals that we're creating for this upcoming year so that we can step into more deliberate power? How do we avoid the obstacles that show up so often for us that throw us off track or keep us from achieving the goals? How do we develop, we're going to be working on something I call the mastery plan. I'll be walking you through this, and we'll also be doing, teaching some productivity skills and just walking through some processes of getting clear on your own personal bucket list of what you want to do. And like I said, this is going to be very interactive. There's going to be times where I'm just totally quiet and give you some opportunity to work and to, journal and to write. And I'm always open to questions. Like my only intention in creating the space for you and I today is so that I can serve you, and honestly, it helps me too. I was having this conversation with someone that I was coaching. I work a lot with other coaches and speakers and helping them develop their message and grow their business. And I was sharing how I think that for me, one of the main reasons why I do what I do is because I love to learn and I love to grow and I love to expand. And when I teach, then I grow and expand myself. And because I know the challenges that I normally experience around January 1st, as I'm setting New Year's goals, I was like, this is what I want. I would love to have just a couple hours where I just really focus on me and what I want to create. And so this is ultimately the intention. And so I'll be going through these processes with you as well. So let's talk about some core characteristics of top achievers. What are the things that distinguish those that get the greatest results in their life from those that don't? And when you think about that, there's really a lot of core characteristics about the conscious creator that are common to all top achievers. The top achievers in every area are ones that have a very good, they live intentionally. They have a purpose. They know what their mission, they know what their destination is, and they're constantly arming themselves with the skills and the mindset to make that possible. So I'm going to actually, I'm going to take a moment to respond to Nasa's question because I think it's a really relevant one. We all have this desire and awareness of the importance of conscious creator, and we all have this pattern of sometimes drifting into reactor mode. So what are specific ways or specific practices to bring ourselves more and more into being a conscious creator? The consciousness is really the core part of that. And for me, like I notice that I'm in and out of consciousness all the time. For me, one of the greatest gifts that I've recognized in my life is pain. I think pain is such a huge gift to us. And people are like, why would you think pain is a gift? Because pain is what creates this catalyst for awakening in our life. It's just like the moment if I were to go and put my hand on a hot stove, what would be the immediate reaction? It's like, oh my gosh, ouch, that hurts. Don't do that. And I would have this immediate pain sensation that would tell me that's not a good idea. Now, the same is true in terms of relationships, right? If I were to show up unconsciously in a relationship and get hurt or hurt someone else, it's like, ooh, pain, ouch. Like, that's not the way to invest in that relationship. And so sometimes that pain is the catalyst for us to wake up and say, oh my gosh, what have I been creating? Why have I been creating this? And it's these questions, Nathan, that really empower us to step into more fully into being conscious. The awareness begins with noticing the moment you start blaming other people for their problems, or the moment you start complaining about the situation and get sucked into the drama of that, you can say, oh my gosh, wow, I am totally being a reactor in this moment. And it begins with awareness as the first step, accountability as the second step, and then alignment is the third step. I'm going to go over these again, because this is a good question. I think ultimately this question relates to creating any change. These are basically the 4 steps of creating new results in our life. So the first step is awareness. The biggest challenge with most unconscious reactors is they don't even realize that they're playing the role of victim. They know. That's how they've always been. That's how their parents have been. That's how they were taught to be in their school system and in the culture that they grew up in. So they're completely unaware that that's even the problem, because it's so easy for them. They've been conditioned to see life through this perspective, through this lens, where all of the problems are outside of them, and so they have no power to fix them. So because you're here and because you're having this conversation, because you're on this path of consciousness, the first step is awareness and recognition of our own patterns, and being willing to go deep and figure out, okay, wow, why am I acting that way? And notice when challenges come up. So awareness of problems is the first step, and then awareness of how you are creating those things in your life are the second step. So that second step is accountability. So you could say the first step of awareness is like, okay, what is the problem? So we can see that problem clearly. The second step is accountability. It says, okay, what was my role in creating that problem? And I want to emphasize, being a conscious creator does not mean that you're taking the finger of blame and pointing at yourself, oh my gosh, I'm such a bad person. I never should have done this. It's all my fault. No, that's not the point. Our point isn't to step into self-blame. That doesn't serve anyone. Accountability just means, okay, what was my role? And in accountability, we look at a couple things. Okay, what did I have to believe? What's the belief that I would have to have? What are the actions? What did I do? And what did I avoid? What did I not do in order to create this problem? What did I say? When someone steps into accountability, say in their relationships, they're able to look at the problem and says, wow, I'm not experiencing the level of connection or intimacy that I want with my partner, my spouse. And then they can say, okay, well, what's my role in this? How have I been creating this? And they can realize, oh yeah, I can see how I've been avoiding, having powerful or authentic conversations. I can see how I've been trying to defend myself and rather than really listening to what they're experiencing. I can see how I've said some things that probably hurt the other person, that might have felt like it was an accusation or something. And then really digging down to the roots. Because as a conscious creator, our power to change the fruits requires us to understand what are the real roots. What are the beliefs that lie beneath the surface? When we can come to a real clear awareness and accountability for our beliefs, that's where our power to change really comes from. And so when we can see how, okay, I understand, like I'll give you an example from my marriage, my relationship. So I tended to be overly sensitive to her emotions, right? I would end up walking on eggshells so that I wouldn't disturb her. I had a hard time being really authentic or owning my own problems, or to be able to explain, to be able to share like where I was struggling, because I had to wear this mask that I had it all figured out. And so you can imagine how hard to be married to someone that never really acknowledges the problems, never opens up, never really shares, and is always pretending like everything's fine. And so those were my actions. That's what I was saying. That was creating a dysfunction. Now, in digging down to the belief that I had underneath the surface, the real core belief was No matter how hard I try, it's not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. And when I could really see how those beliefs and those patterns were causing me to show up in a way that I was wearing a mask in the relationship, then I began to be able to take some steps to change it. And this is ultimately what we want to get to, is a space of change. But we first need to recognize and be able to see what the roots are. Like, it's really easy to see the fruit. A lot of people ask, well, how do I find out what the roots are? Well, begin with the fruit. This is one thing that I train on a bit too. So for those of you who've done this as a review, but you begin with like looking at the fruit. You know, from this space, if you have this negative fruit, say things are off in your relationship, you can see the fruit, and the fruit is always a reflection of the roots. So the first question that you ask is, okay, what is the fruit that I'm experiencing that I don't want? The second question is, okay, what have I been doing to create this fruit? What have I been doing? What have I been saying? Because this represents the actions. And then underneath here, it's like, okay, what would I need to believe to take those actions? A very simple example. Say, and this is an example from my life. There was a time where I was overweight, where I was out of shape, where I wasn't very healthy or confident in my body. That was the fruit in my body. Okay. The actions that I was taking and not taking, while I was eating junk food, I was eating whatever I want, whenever I want. I was not exercising. So looking at that one action of not exercising, what would have to be the belief underneath the surface to have me not exercise? And you can do this with any of our behaviors. What's the belief that's leading to that behavior? So the belief, very simply, in that situation was, I believe exercise is hard, exercise is painful, exercise was a waste of time. All of these things were the beliefs underneath the surface. And if my beliefs are exercise is hard, exercise is painful, exercise is a waste of time, what are my results naturally going to be? I mean, that's the natural fruit that comes from those seeds. So here we are in accountability. I had to take accountability for my actions. Okay, this is my body. This isn't anyone else's body. This is my body. This is what I'm responsible for. And then really taking accountability for, okay, these are the beliefs that I'd have to have in place. And sometimes it helps to work with a coach to dig down and find the roots. It's really hard to change the fruit in your life unless you are able to see the roots clearly. And let's face it, sometimes it's hard to be conscious enough to see our own stuff, to see our own junk. So that's a really important thing. In fact, you know, David, who's on the line, if you guys don't know David, he's actually been someone that's coached me in the past, and especially as I was going through my relationship challenges. I was so stuck in victim mode where I felt like, you know, it was my wife's fault, blah, 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 you know, and he was so good at helping me get back to a space of accountability. And I'm really exploring what are the roots really beneath the surface and what are the real fears that are there. So if you guys aren't connected to David yet, David McGripplis, who's on this thing, be sure to reach out to him, connect with him. And because let's face it, sometimes we need a coach to help us get to that space of accountability in our life, to help us to see clearly what we cannot see, to help us even have awareness. All right, so Nessa, here's the next part of this. You ready? So once we're able to see the roots, the next step in change in the practice of being a conscious creator is the step of alignment. So when I say alignment, what that means is when we're looking at the fruit you want to have. So we're going to explore this more and more today as we look at what you want, what you're determined to create in 2015. When you look at this fruit that you want to have, ask yourself this question, okay, what do I want? And this represents the realm of the conscious creator, the possibility that's there. If anything were possible, what would you want in terms of your health? What would you want in terms of your relationships? What would you want in terms of your emotions? What would you want in terms of your money, your finances. Really, what do you want? That's this next question, which brings us into a space of alignment. What do you want? Then after you ask the question, what do I want? The next question is, okay, so what, well, it's simply how do I create this? And I'll take you through some processes today to help you get a little clearer on the how. Some of these things are beyond the scope of what we can cover in a couple hours that we have. But this is really important that you move from, okay, what do I want? What are your goals? What's your destination? What's your vision for 2015? What do you really want to communicate or create? What do you really want to create? Yeah. If 2015, this blank canvas of opportunity is yours to create. You've got 365 days to create something amazing or create something lousy. What's your choice? Be clear on what you want, and then step into the how. The how is something that continually evolves or expands as you're really focusing on. So what are the actions you would need to take? What are the things you need to do? What are the things that you need to avoid doing? How do you create this? And then the last part of this process is, okay, well, what would I need to believe? What do I need to believe to make these actions happen easily and effortlessly? So in being a conscious creator, this process of transformation, this process of change, requires us to have our beliefs and our actions in alignment with the results that we want to have in our life. And I could take any example in your life. Any example where you're not experiencing what you want, where you're not experiencing the financial abundance, where you're not experiencing relationships, and somewhere there's a gap between your intention and your desire and the actions and beliefs that you have. Like there's something that's out of alignment that's not creating those results. And it sounds so simple. But this really is kind of an advanced principle, it's an advanced concept. And I've done everything I could to simplify this process as you're going through this. But it takes time, and once again, working with a powerful coach is I got it. Thank you, Marty, for commenting. I'm wondering, let me try to raise this up so you guys can see this a little bit better. Hang on. Once again, if you guys are having a hard time, I'm so grateful for Google for creating this technology where we can even play like this and do this, but I haven't done many workshops like this, so it's kind of an experiment for me. Let me know if that's better. Maybe I like fall over. That'd be really fun. All right, is that any better? It's still not better. Just a second. There, ta-da! By the way, welcome to my home. So glad you could join me here. This is fun. Got a lot of people joining in from all over, so I want to thank you for that. All right, so hopefully you're able to see that just fine. Okay, so going back to this conversation, all right, perfect, thank you. I need to adjust a little bit more. Please hang on. Oh. All right. Okay. All right, there we go. All right, so so this alignment really is exploring these beliefs. And we'll be doing this with your goals that you have this upcoming year. What are the beliefs that you would need to so let me just make sure that it looks right now. All right. Thank you for your patience. All right, so we'll be exploring this with your question that well, we'll be exploring this with your personal goals. So say you have a goal to lose beliefs that need to be in place to make that, so those are the results that naturally occur. What are the beliefs that need to be in place if you want to, you know, make $100,000 in your new business? What are the steps? What are the beliefs that you need to have in place so that you can do the how? What are the beliefs that you need to have in place if you want to have more deep and passionate and more fulfilling relationships? So we'll be exploring that with your own personal things. The final step, though, in this process of transformation, this process of being a conscious creator, is simply action. Like, none of these results happen. None of the positive results will happen in your life without the appropriate level of action. You know, I hear some people sometimes they'll set a goal. It's like, I want to make $1 million this year. Like, that's fantastic. Like, I would never tell anyone that their dream is too big. Because what do I know, right? If that's their dream, that's great. Like, I fully support that. I think you should have big, hairy, audacious goals that scare you and inspire you. I really think you should. But you have to be able to have the right actions to be able to support that level of goal. And sometimes I see people set these huge, crazy goals, but then they don't actually do the work that's required to do that. They don't actually make that investment of time, energy, and money to be able to create that. So as we're creating goals, we're going to be really exploring how to create SMART goals, ones that are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-driven. We'll be exploring how to get more and more clarity, not only on what you want, so you make sure that you're creating the right beliefs, but we'll also spend some time identifying some of the how for you to move forward. All right, so with that, Mesa, I hope that answered your question in terms of being a conscious creator. The biggest advice that I can say is just constantly coming back to awareness, accountability, focusing on alignment and clearing our own blocks, our own fears, our own junk, doing that deep internal work, which I know you're very involved with, but then nurturing those positive beliefs and then taking action, ultimately. Anthony Fowler, you're on the line. Yeah, I totally need you here to. So Anthony Fowler is one of my good friends who supports me in all my events, and he's another amazing person. If you really want to learn how to create alignment between what you want and what your beliefs are, that's what he does for his work. He's the mind alignment specialist, and he's brilliant at what he does. Anthony, will you just go ahead and type your phone number there so that people can reach out to you if they want to explore having a Psyche session or having a discovery process? I know you charge a lot for that, but I also know that because you love me, you'll give everyone a free gift where they can get to know you. And I recommend that, because this journey of becoming a conscious creator, this journey of becoming a conscious creator, we need help. We need people that can reorient us and that can help us clear out the weeds that have sometimes been suffocating us. And Anthony's a great guy to do that on LinkedIn. Anthony, if you'll just let people know how they can get a hold of you, that'd be great. All right. So with that, that's kind of a foundation. We talked about what it means to be an unconscious reactor and how these are all of the things that are going to create the weeds that will sabotage the results in your garden. And we've talked about what it means to be a conscious creator and how all of your power to create these dreams that you have for 2015 lie in your ability to constantly realign with this powerful energy, which is who you naturally are. It's all these lies that hold us back, that keep us stuck here. How do you know if what you're believing is a lie or truth? And the lies will always limit. Lies will always hold you back. Lies will always sabotage you. But in your core truth, the core truth of who you are, you know it's truth because the truth will set you free. The truth will help you really step into total freedom. You know, so really, as we go into some of the process I'm going to be taking you through right now to get you more clear on your goals, this energy of conscious creator and realizing that you have the power to create these things is so invaluable. But now we really get a look at, okay, what do you not want in your life, and what do you want? And so we're going to begin by exploring and having you take a good hard look at where you're really at right now, and what is the fruit in your life that you're experiencing that you really are not willing to tolerate anymore. These are big questions, but these are really important ones. To really find that space of what are you frustrated with right now? What is not meeting the standards? And I imagine, I imagine that there's some areas in your life where you recognize that you're not living fully up to your potential. Is that true? So let's explore that right now. So then we can start developing more and more clarity on what you do want. So in your notebook right now, wherever you're at, I want you to do a little analysis. Do a little analysis of 2014 and the years before and where you're at right now. And this is where we get to step into accountability, not from a space of blame, but really being willing to look at the pain that's really in our life that we're not willing to endure anymore. So in terms of your health, I'm going to have you once again just look at your existing results here. In terms of your health, in terms of the body that you live in terms of the your level of health and energy and vitality that you experience, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your body right now? And just take some time to really explore, and I'm going to give you a second here to get even more clear. What is it about your body that you would like to change? What is it that that you know is possible in terms of change that you want to experience that you haven't been because of the way that you've been being and believing, right? And this, I need to emphasize that in terms of our body, this isn't about you trying to be in a body that's different than the one that you're in, because that's impossible. You see these people at the gym, like I was at the gym this morning, I was like looking at this super buff, like ripped guy, I was like, wow. It would be easy for me to say, I wish that I had that body, but I can't. Like, that's his body. He gets to keep that, right? Can I shape mine into being more, more, but yeah, sure, I could, right? And if that was my goal, then I'd have to say, okay, how do I create that? But if you're feeling overweight, if you're feeling some sickness or disease, if you're feeling, if you're noticing that the fruit in your life isn't what you want, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is that, and what specifically do you want to change? I want you to answer that question. I'm going to get a glass of water. Hang on just a second. All right. So there you go. Your health. You see the areas where you're not satisfied with what you want. Right? You see the areas that you're just like, this is not acceptable for me. I'm no longer okay with that. The scale of 1 to 10, where are you? And just because we're doing this, like I'll just do this with you, and I'll share with you mine. So I feel like in terms of health, that I'm at 11. I love, the body of health. I've had a sprained ankle, so that hasn't been good. But overall, like I'm really at the level of health that I want. But what I want to be able to experience moving forward is more energy. I want to be able to focus more on nutrition because I don't do a very good job with eating healthy or eating nutrition. And so there's some blocks that I've had there that I get to work through. All right, so now in terms of your finances. So in terms of your finances, where are you at? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your finances right now? And what is it, the experience that you're having that you do not like? This might be a big one. Finances have a lot of different realms. And then you've got your income that's coming in, and that's one thing. You've got your money that's going out, that's another thing. Your expenses, you've got your wealth that you're saving, you've got your overall experience of abundance, being able to do what you want, when you want, who you want. But if you were to generalize all those things, get really clear, okay, if I was to look at my money situation, where am I at and where do I want to be? And what is it that I'm not happy with? So for me, this is the part where I don't like to be vulnerable, but this is the reality. I'd probably give myself a 5 right now. I experience like this roller coaster of income where I'll make a lot of money, but then I'll not work or focus on money producing activities, and so it's very inconsistent. It's very much of a roller coaster income. I haven't made saving money a priority, and so I spend money and then I go on crazy adventures and trips for a couple months, and then like I'll make money, then I'll just spend it, then I'll make money and I'll spend it, and I haven't done a very good job of accumulating long-term wealth. That's one of the things that has been hard for me. I never worry about money, which is a good thing because I know I can always create more whenever I want. So I feel good about that, but it also makes it so that I don't always treat money with respect, and I don't always make it a priority. So the results that I'm experiencing right now, I would probably rate them as a 5. Like there's not, it's just not where I should be. It's not where I want to be. It's been where I've been comfortable, and this is the deal. Like where you're at right now, this is what you've been comfortable with in the past. And the reality is, at some levels, it's worked for me, right? Like I've been comfortable, but there comes a point where being comfortable isn't enough, and we have to really look at, okay, is this the standard that I want to keep living by or not? Okay, so next, now that you've identified where you're at financially and given the number, and I've identified some specific things you want to change, the next question is in terms of your relationships. So in terms of your relationships, where are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, and let's just focus on your intimate, closest relationships. And I realize that everyone's going to be in different situations. Everyone's going to be in different things. Some of you have been married, and you've been married for a long time. You've got a great marriage. Some of you have been married for a long time, and you wish that you weren't married. Some of you are just brand newly married. Some of you aren't married. Some of you are divorced. Some of you are dating. Some of you are looking for someone to date. Whatever your situation is, I want you to focus on those intimate relationships that you most want to create in your life. And on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? there's a part of me that's like, I'm not sure why I started like sharing with you my own personal numbers, because it requires me to like be like real in a way that I'm okay being real, but sometimes it's like hard because this, here's the problem with being a quote unquote relationship expert. Like, this isn't something I asked for when I stepped into sharing information on relationships. It's something I'm passionate about because I want to figure out, but I'm not here to pretend like I'm a master. And it was funny for me, even after going through divorce, like I learned so much about relationships, about the masculine, about the feminine. I learned about the things that are required to create a long-term, sustainable, healthy relationship in a marriage, and things that I wish I would have known when I was still married. But like, hindsight's always 20/20. Sometimes it's 20/20. It's 20/20 when we're allowing ourselves to be conscious creator. But if we're an unconscious victim, our hindsight can be just totally messed up. But in this journey of studying about relationships, I've learned so much. But I'm still learning a lot about myself and my journey. And so in my situation right now, I'm still exploring dating and what that looks like. And there's been a lot of amazing things that I've experienced on dating, but I haven't been in a space where I've been willing to commit in a relationship, and it's ended up causing pain to people that I really care about a lot, because I've been, like, there's a part of me that hasn't been ready to invest fully into one relationship. So if I were to be honest with my relationships right now in terms of where I'm at and what I want to have, I'd probably give myself a 3, right? And this, once again, this is for you to explore in your life. Where are you really at, if you were to be honest, in terms of at the beginning of the year and where you want to be moving forward. So what I don't like about where I'm currently at is, that, relationships come in and out of my life pretty quickly. I don't have one person that I can really invest long-term with. I spend a lot of time alone, and I'm still trying to deal with the relationship with myself so I can be okay being alone. Like, so these are all things I'm noticing about me. And once again, this is about you, or you're at, like, you're wanting to create that's different than right now. But really look at this last year and the things you've been creating and the direction that you want to head moving forward. Because then, as we look at each of these areas, and you can already begin seeing, okay, I can see how I've created this experience in my mind, right? I can see what I've been doing that has created that, what I haven't been doing. So for instance, if we were to go through this whole process, which is going to be something I recommend you do, with what I'm going to recommend that you do with this whole process is really get down to, okay, what are the beliefs that have been sabotaging you in the past in each of these areas? So in terms of health, once again, I love exercise. I love taking care of my body. I love the energy that I feel. Like, I really feel confident about this, but the gap is I need to learn how to eat more healthy and to make that a priority for me to nourish my body. Okay? In terms of my money, so in terms of my health, the way that I've gotten these results is I do exercise, 4 or 5 times a week. I'm active in sports. I ran, 7 half marathons this last year. I eat a lot of green smoothies, and I try to eat conscious. So this is how I've gotten those results. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to keep continuing, right? That I really love. That I'm going to keep moving forward with. And the gap that I'm experiencing is, okay, I want to start toning my body a little bit more. I want to start pushing it to the next level, and I want to actually eat more healthy. In terms of money, the actions that I've had, I've been inconsistent with my work. Sometimes I'm really aggressive and I'm really ambitious, and sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I've been lazy. Sometimes I've been very lackadaisical. Sometimes I focus time and energy on things that aren't producing money. I haven't really made it a priority to do that. So when I look at the actions that I've been taking and not taking, like, the beliefs I have is there's positive beliefs for each of this in all these situations. So positive beliefs I have, I believe that there's tons of abundance and I can always make money whenever I want. So that's a positive belief. The downfall of that is I don't worry about money. Well, that's a good thing for me. Like I'm glad that I never worry about money, because money always shows up when I need it. Like I've never ever had to go without a meal, or miss rent, or not be able to pay for childcare. Like I've never struggled around money, like in terms of not showing up, but I haven't been building long term, because one of the negative beliefs I've had is that money's just not that important, right? And if money's not important, what are the results that we tend to experience, right? And so notice this, and I've noticed that I've also got a belief that success is hard, which has caused me to not want to grow my business or not wanting to expand, because I believe one of the negative beliefs that led to this is that if I grow my business, that's going to be a lot of responsibility, and it feels very restrictive, and I'm not going to be able to do all the things I want, and I'm going to lose freedom. So those are the beliefs underneath the surface that are causing that fruit. Does this make sense? In terms of relationships, once again, the actions that I've been taking is I've been dating a lot of different people. I haven't been going to commit. I've had a lot of amazing experiences. Have met a lot of phenomenal people, and grown in so many ways. But the belief that I've had is commitment scares me, right? The belief that I've had is commitment is hard. I'm not ready. I don't want to be rejected, and if I were to, devote myself to one relationship, then it would mean more pain for me. Does this make sense? So there's these different layers of beliefs underneath that have created that level of dysfunction in my dating experience right now. So this is the level of awareness that we're wanting to get to. If we were in a live workshop, I'd have you stand up and I'd have you get together with someone and share what you're learning about yourself and what you're discovering and what you're learning about yourself in terms of what you want to change. I'd welcome you if you want to share. Actually, I'm going to have you do this. Go ahead and in the comment bar, I want you to share what is the one area in your life that you want to experience the greatest level of transformation with, and why. When you look at all of these different areas, which of these is the one area that you are most committed to experiencing transformation? We're going to focus on enriching each of these 3 core areas, but I want you to explore that. Which of these areas is the most important to you. So for me, relationships is the area that's I get to grow the most in. Followed by money, and then obviously I want to expand the results that I'm having in my comments. All right, so go ahead and write your comments below and share what's the area. I would love to hear what your numbers are in health and money and relationships if you want to post that. It's obviously up to you if you want to be vulnerable. But if I'm sharing that I'm at a level 3, I'm the relationship expert with a level 3 in my relationships. Hopefully you can feel empowered to share what you're struggling with. So go ahead and take a moment, share that, and hopefully you've been able to get a little bit of clarity on what's the belief underneath the surface that's causing let's just keep following through with this, because I want to make sure that you have enough clarity and awareness here that you know what to do. So in terms of the area that you want to experience the most change, what would you identify in terms of 1 or 2 of what would you identify in terms of the core beliefs? The core beliefs that are sabotaging those 3. Right? What are the core beliefs that have been holding you back over this last year? Yeah, and thank you so much for your comments. I love hearing your comments and having you share. Okay. So what's the core belief that's been sabotaging you the most, and that's caused you to show up in that way and caused you to create that result? So for instance, if you are experiencing challenges in terms of your body and you're not exercising, you're not eating healthy, what are the core beliefs that you're creating? If you're experiencing frustration in terms of your money, what's the core beliefs that are creating it? If your relationships are off, what's the core things that are off? I'm just reading some of your comments. Thank you so much for sharing these. Okay. So as you get down to clarity with that, I want you to share what's the core belief that's what's the core belief that you're noticing that's been sabotaging the most. And we had a question that was asked in terms of how do you actually change core beliefs. I'll try to touch on that a little bit, but that's also something we cover at Live Big. So if you haven't been to Live Big, or even if you've been before, I encourage you to come back. I actually put a link at the very bottom of this page where you can click that, and there's a code there, so you can get it for basically 10% of normal price. So feel free to come to the next one, which is coming up in February. And there's also some links at the other page. If you haven't downloaded it yet, there's a couple worksheets that I'll be going through. And there's also an ebook from this guy named Darren Hardy, who's a powerful goal achievement specialist. It's a great workbook. I added that as just an extra bonus for you. All right. So I love reading your comments and having you guys identify what's the area that you're most committed to experiencing change. And this is where the change begins to happen. The change begins to happen by exploring, by really exploring like what's been holding you back. And what are you committed to change? Ultimately, change has to happen when it's no longer, I should change. Well, I should go to the gym. I should start eating more healthy. I should be, doing this or this or this in my business and my relationships. It needs to shift out of a should to a must. And so I want you to look at these areas in your life. Okay? These areas in your life where you're looking at the fruit and it's just like, this has got to change. This has got to change. One of the keys to creating momentum in our life is leverage. Right? When I say leverage, it's really being able to tap into pain as a gift to create movement and momentum. So, so just for an example, there's all these things that I'm amazed that I'm sharing. In terms of relationships, I for the first year and a half that I was divorced, like the place that I was in with relationships, not committing, and I'd be super transparent with women I date, but it worked for me, and it was where I wanted to be, and it was fun, it was fulfilling, and I love the people I got to meet with. But recently, over the last 2 months, like I've had a lot of pain that I've been experiencing in terms of unconsciously hurting people that I really care about, and that pain is something I'm not willing to keep experiencing. That pain of being that guy that gets close in a relationship but isn't willing to commit, there's a violation in the relationship that I'm recognizing. And I didn't see that for a long time because it worked for me, right? If you would have asked me earlier in this year, I probably would have rated myself an 8 or 9 in terms of the relationship. But right now, there's a space of pain. And in that space of pain, it's like, I'm not willing to keep dealing with this pain. And the pain over the last, last little while has been growing and becoming more intense. And when I look into the future, it's like, I'm not willing to tolerate this for my life. There's no way I'm going to be willing to keep experiencing this pain. And so that pain builds up like this sense of anger or frustration, but in a good way, because I feel like that frustration I feel like the frustration is the catalyst that's required for us. That frustration is a catalyst to say, no more. I am done. I'm ready for something different. And it's that moment. It's that moment when we create a true committed decision that everything changes. It's that moment of the true committed decision that, in essence, we catapult ourselves up to inevitable success. But a committed decision is really important to recognize, because as we're going through this process today, you're going to have to come to a committed decision that says, I'm no longer willing to continue to create these dysfunctional results that I've had in the past. I'm no longer willing to keep struggling in my relationship. I'm no longer willing to keep living in a body that's not healthy. I'm no longer willing to keep, going through the cycle of being broke or whatever that is for you. And then in that moment of saying no more, you have to decide, okay, this is what I'm committed to my life meaning and doing and being. This is committed. This is what I'm committed to be. And the word decision, remember I was listening to Kenny Robbins talk about this phrase, and I think it's a powerful term, and it's a powerful thing to remember in terms of that component of decision. Decision comes from the Latin, which means desir, which really means to cut off. That's really what it means, to cut off. And when you make a true committed decision, you're cutting yourself off from the possibility of failure. You're saying, this isn't even a potential. You sever that, and you say, this is what I'm committed to doing. And so when you look at these results that you're experiencing, I'm going to ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, and I want you to write this down. I want you to type this in the bar right now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to creating new results? On a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to creating these new results in your life? Here's the deal, is that our level of commitment, the level of results that we get in our life, will always be in direct relationship to our level of commitment. I want you to imagine right now that if you're, say you're like a relationship, and say, I'm committed at a level 7. If you're really honest with yourself, how committed are you really? If you're committed at level 7, this is where your commitment is. And you're willing to do some things, but as long as it's not too hard, as long as you don't have to, give up anything that you like, as long as you don't have to, say if you want to make more money, as long as I don't have to work weekends, as long as I don't have to travel, as long as I don't have to do cold calling or do something that I don't want. All of your excuses will always show what your true commitment level is. I want you to look at this, because I see you guys typing level 10, and I love that, and I'm inspired by that, and I believe that. But if you're allowing excuses to be more important than your decision, then how committed are you truly? And if we're only committed to level 7, what happens the moment that we encounter a level 8 challenge in our life, or a level 9 problem? What happens the moment that we encounter resistance that's greater than our commitment? This is why, so many people, it's January 2nd right now, so many people are like, yes, I'm gonna go work out, I'm gonna go to the gym, I'm gonna get fit, this is my year, and they get a new membership at the gym, and they start going to the gym, and then by day 4 or 5, then all of a sudden they're tired, they're sleepy, they aren't feeling good, and their excuses all of a sudden become more important. Their excuses become more important than their dreams. Why? Because were they truly committed? It's easy to say you're committed level 10, but ultimately, how do you know? How do you know how committed you really are? It's simple. Look at your results. Your results will always show you what your true level of commitment is. And the moment you say, I am committed to level 10, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, that's a commitment that has power in the universe. That's a commitment that creates transformation. That's a commitment where the moment you experience any level of challenge in your life, you'll be able to bust through that. It's not going to be easy, like it's going to take energy for sure, but the majority of the battle comes from actually making that decision. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how committed are you to changing these results? What's the leverage that you have? And I want you to see if nothing changes in your life right now. If nothing changes in your life, what will be, where are you going to be a year from now? Where are you going to be 5 years from now? Where are you going to be 10 years from now? If nothing changes and you keep taking these actions and you keep these weeds growing in your beliefs, you keep sabotaging that fruit, where are your relationships, where your money going to be? If nothing changes, and if you don't make that committed decision right now, where are you going to be at the end of the year? I really want you to ask yourself that question. Most likely you're going to be either stuck at where you're at right now, or it's going to get worse. Rarely do things get better, just naturally, without you making a decision to create that change. So knowing that you want to create that change, knowing that you're making a decision that says, yes, this is my time, this is my year, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, as long as it takes, then we get to dive into this question, okay, what do you want? This is going to be fun because we're going to be going through some processes and giving you some time to really explore this. And I'm going to be walking you through a process so that you can create your bucket list of specific experiences you want to have, and help you identify one core driving goal in each of these 3 areas in your life, so that you have a direction, you have a vision for where you're going. So what I'm actually going to have you do right now is we're going to change pace a little bit, and what I'm going to be doing is taking you through a visualization process. For those of you that were on the call yesterday, we did that. This will be an opportunity for you to reinforce that and get more and more clarity of what you want to create, where you're going, what you want to have in your life. This is a process that is a very simple one that you can do on your own. But I really think that this is, it's something that we get to do over and over again. So with that, what I'm going to invite you to do is I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes right now. Just close your eyes so you can eliminate your distractions and you can just listen to the sound of my voice. And as you close your eyes, I just want you to take a moment to just take a big, deep breath in. And then you breathe out. And as you breathe in like this peace and this hope and this joy as you look forward to this new year. And as you breathe out, just exhale all of your frustration, all the fear, all the doubt, all those failures from this last year, and just feel those being released right now. As you breathe in light and peace, and as you exhale, just allow all of that darkness to just flood out of you right now. And as you continue to breathe in and out, you just allow this sense of peace and calmness to settle over you. And be really present in your body. Feel the weight of your body against the chair. Feel the weight of your feet on the floor. And just feel yourself being where you're at right now. And in a moment, I'm going to have you imagine in your mind's eye that you're being lifted up out of your chair. And as you rise out of your chair, you look down on your life and you see all of these different fruits that you're experiencing right now. You see the garden of your life and you realize, okay, this is my garden. This is my responsibility. These fruits are my results. And you're able to look at yourself in your life and realize that there are some things that you just know that aren't in alignment with who you truly are. And you want to change those things. And in recognizing that these are the results that you've created over the last several years, over your lifetime, these are the results that you have, you begin to ask yourself, okay, what are the results that I'm really committed to creating moving forward? And then ask that question. And asking that question, then you begin to look to the future. You look to the future and you see this blank canvas of opportunities. You see this timeline stretch out before you that represents your future. And you realize that you can create anything that you want. And you ask yourself and ask your higher self, well, what do I really want? What do I want to experience in terms of my relationships? What do I want to experience in terms of my body, in terms of my health? What do I want to experience in terms of my finances? And you just ask yourself that question, what do I want? What do I want? And as you ask yourself what you want, you see this light on the horizon that represents 1 year from today. It represents this possibility of what you want to create. This light in the horizon that represents you achieving and living in a way that creates this ideal relationship, that creates this ideal level of health, that creates this unbelievable feeling of abundance. You ask yourself, what do I want? You begin to see that picture clearly in your mind of what that destination looks like. And right now in your mind's eye, I just want you to imagine that you're traveling forward on the timeline of your life towards that point that represents 1 year from today. And you see yourself traveling 1 month, 2 months, accelerating faster, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and you have this sense of anticipation, this sense of excitement, this sense of joy as you look at this moment that represents 1 year from today, having created all of the things that you want in terms of your relationships, your health, and your money. And 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, and now in this magical moment, you're drifting down to this point that represents 1 year from today. And as you sink down into your life, you're looking around at your life, and you're looking at the relationships that you have. And in your mind's eye, get really clear in terms of what that looks like. Have you experienced those relationships, that relationship with your loved one? I want you to feel that passionate connection, that feeling of trust and intimacy. I want you to feel that awareness that you've grown a lot and that you're expanding. It doesn't mean that you don't have problems still, because you realize that's a fantasy that will never exist. Like all relationships are a part of life, and you realize that there will always be challenges that come up. But you feel armed with tools to move through those challenges. You are able to feel a sense of being loved and appreciated, and you know that you're investing in that relationship every day. And every day, in every way, that relationship becomes stronger and richer and more fulfilling. And you're actively creating memories, and you're working together as a team to create the financial goals that you have and reach the other goals that you have as a couple, and feel that sense of confidence, that sense of security that you have in that relationship. Once again, identifying what it is that defines your ideal relationship 1 year from today. Now, looking at your body, how would you look at your body and go ahead and just imagine that you're looking in your mirror, and as you look in your mirror, you see that you're in love with your body and you're so grateful for your body. And your body's healthier than it's ever been. And see how you've taken care of and nurtured that body. What is that goal? How would you define that goal for you in your body? And just feel that sense of confidence that you have, for that sense of control, that sense of energy. Notice all of those things in relation to your body. Now, I want you to imagine that you're looking at your finances. And as you look at your finances right now, I want you to feel the sense of abundance that flows up you. And how would you define that? When you look in your bank account, how much money do you have saved up in your bank account? When you look at your income that's coming in on an average basis, how much money are you making in a given month? When you look at your the clients that you're working with, how many clients are you working with? What are you charging for your products or services or what you do? When you look at the work that you do on a daily basis, what is it that you do? Is it different than it was a year ago? Or are you still doing the same thing and you've just focused on becoming better and better at it? Notice the sense of confidence that you have with your work and the value that you're creating and providing. And look at the other things that you do with your money. Where would you want to travel? What would you want to do? What would you want to experience? And as you feel that sense of abundance flowing into you right now, just get a clear picture of what your goal is, this destination. Because in a moment, I'm going to be taking you back to the point 1 year ago. I'm going to be taking you back to this current time. But that vision of where you want to be and what you want to create is going to be critical for you to move forward. It's going to be critical for you to know that every day, okay, this is the destination I'm reaching towards. This is who I'm becoming. This is what I want to achieve. So get one last snapshot of your life and what you want to have. And I want you to think about, okay, over the last year, just imagine that you're walking over to the table and you see this photo album. And you open up the photo album. And as you open up the photo album, you see all of the memories that you've created throughout 2015. Just notice those. And as you notice those memories that you've created, you get excited because you look at the places that you've gone. Where did you go in 2015 that you created new memories at? You look at the things that you've done. Maybe there's challenges that you've done. Maybe you went skydiving, or maybe you went cross-country skiing, or maybe you went snowboarding, or maybe you went scuba diving. What is it that you did this last year that created a new memory, a new experience for you? Maybe there's new skills that you developed just because you wanted to, and there's hobbies that you've focused on and you've nurtured. In terms of your relationships, what were the things that you did to build those relationships? Did you go on vacation in certain places in that relationship? What did you do? In regards to your things that you've done with your money, are there certain things that you've bought, certain things that you've done, certain things that you have in your life now because you wanted to? So in a moment, I'm going to be taking you back in time, rewinding back. So right now, take one last glimpse at your life, allowing that vision to be even more clear, feeling what that feels like, knowing that you've already accomplished that thing. And in this magical moment, you're going to be raising up. You're going to see this future, not as a possibility, but as a certainty, knowing that this is a future that you're moving towards. And you begin rewinding back in time. And as you look down at your timeline, you see the actions that you've been taking. And you look at your relationships and you say, okay, how did I create this? And as you look down, you see yourself every day investing in that relationship in a meaningful way, expressing love, appreciation, You're focusing on building your skills so you can understand the needs of your spouse at a greater level. You're communicating openly and authentically when challenges come up rather than running from them or blaming from them. You focus on working through them as a team. You really are nurturing that relationship by giving it the adequate time, by going on consistent dates, by expressing your desires and needs. You notice how all of these things are creating that relationship that you want. And you see yourself taking those things and take note of all of those things that you do that naturally create that result. So next question that you explore is like, okay, in terms of your health, in order for you to create these results, what were the things that you did to do that? And you look down at your life and you see yourself, how you are excited to go to the gym. You're excited to go for a walk or go for a jog or the other things that are fulfilling. You're excited to use your body in healthy ways. And you feel good after every time you do that. And you notice your body is getting stronger and stronger every day. You notice that when you're given an opportunity of what foods to eat, you naturally crave those foods that feed your body in healthy ways, that nourish your body. No longer are you craving or desiring the foods that are hurting your body or sabotaging you. You just naturally want it to be healthy, and just notice how those results have come. Next question is in terms of your finances. What were the things that you did to create these finances, and allow yourself to get even more and more clear right now how you created that. Notice what you do in your work to become an expert, to become even better at what you do, to be world-class at how you serve people. Notice how you're serving more and more clients, and notice how you're marketing and how you're enrolling them. Notice how you spend your time every day in ways that naturally create this fruit of abundance in your life. Notice how you're responsible for the way that you manage it, and the way that you save that money, and the way that you invest it. Feel the sense of confidence that you have, knowing that you're actively experiencing more and more abundance, and you get more and more wealthy every day. So you feel that sense of gratitude, sense of appreciation in your life. Now, in this moment, in this magical moment, you drift back in the timeline 9 months, 8 months, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month. And here you are now, hovering about over your life right now, and you begin sinking down. You become once again aware of the weight of your body on the chair, your feet on the floor. Take a big deep breath in. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3. When I say the number 3, you'll open your eyes, and you'll begin in your journal writing down very specific things that you see in your future. Things that you want to create, things that you're determined to create. So in a moment, I'm going to say the number 3, and you're going to have some time to write in your journal your vision for the future, and focusing on your vision first, and then we'll start exploring the how. So number 1, energy returning to your body. 2, feeling excited that this gets to be your future. And next, number 3, open your eyes. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes. All right, welcome back. So are you excited for your future? Are you excited for what you get to create? So right now, what I'm going to have you do is, in your notebook, just take a few minutes. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes just to write, to explore, to write in your journal your vision for 1 year from today. And I know that this is something you could take a lot of time doing. And hopefully this is just the beginning of what you're wanting to create. But right now, you're just going to take 5 minutes. Here's your assignment. Write as many details as you can. Your vision for where you want to be at the end of 2015. Be sure to capture details in terms of your body, your relationships, and your wealth. Just capture as many details as possible that you saw, allowing those details to become even more clear as you write them. And once again, just take 5 minutes right now as you write these things, and then I'm going to have you share them again. Okay? So go ahead and take 5 minutes right now. All right, so I hope you're getting more and more clear. I'll give you another minute here. Write out as many details as you can capture. Get as clear as you possibly can. Okay, so how'd you do? One of my good friends, her name is Ann Webb, and she's spoken at some of my New Year's events in the past. Great person, but she's got this really powerful program. So this is something I'd suggest, recommend. It's a great tool. You could do it on your own, but I'd recommend that you reach out to her and get her program if you can, because she supports people and doing a really good job of this. But she has a process called Ideal Life Vision. What the Ideal Life Vision process is, it's writing out in very minute clarity exactly what you want to have as a result in your life, and all of the things that you do to create that. And then what she does is she records those, or you would record those in an audio thing and add Baroque music to it. And it's something that you can listen to over and over again to be able to create this sense of clarity and direction in your life. One of the powerful tools that I want to emphasize about how the subconscious works is the more clear your mind is, and the more you believe it internally, the more you'll be able to create it in the real world. And this is a really critical principle. The more clear you are in your mind and the more you believe that it already is a part of your existing reality, then the easier it is for you to manifest that in the real world. If your belief is that you already have created this wealth and abundance, then it's not going to feel like it's outside of your comfort zone to actually create that. Likewise, if you already see yourself and know what it feels like to be in that relationship, your body begins to internalize it. Your mind begins to internalize it as, okay, this is what my reality is, and so I live up to it. There's something that the book Psycho-Cybernetics, which is a really powerful transformational book by this guy named Maxwell Maltz. He talks about the power of our self-image and this awareness that we can never outperform our self-image. I want you to think about that. You can never outperform your self-image. Why is that an important concept to remember when you're setting goals for 2015? Why is it critical for you to be able to understand that the only way for you to create long-term, enduring results in this upcoming year is to shift the way that you see yourself, shift what you believe about yourself, and expand your vision of who you are at your core. So, for instance, if you want to experience greater wealth in your life, you want to experience greater money, say you want to make $100,000 this year, but the most you've ever made in the past was $50,000. And in your mind, you believe, well, all I'm worth is $50,000. Like that's all that you've ever been comfortable with. You've never experienced anything else. And then it becomes very difficult for someone that has a $50,000 mindset to double their income and create $100,000. But then you think of other people who, they're used to making $1 million a year. For them, only making $100,000 would be very unnatural because they're used to making over $1 million a year. Does this make sense? So the only way for you to move from a $50,000 income to a $100,000 income is to first expand this belief in who you are. So that you begin seeing yourself as, hey, I'm someone who makes easily $100,000 a year or more. Does this make sense? So one of the things we're going to be doing is right now we're going to be writing your goals with more clarity so that your mind is even more clear and so that it becomes very simple for you. And then we'll be exploring the question, okay, what does your self-image need to be? What do you need to believe about yourself to make these results happen naturally and easily? Okay? So with that, let's get some more clarity around your goals. But I want you to walk away with at least 3 core written goals that represent what you want to have. So we started with the vision. The vision is something I encourage you to write this goal over and over again. To just take the time, maybe make a process for once a week or however often you just write down, okay, by January 1st, 2016, I'm so happy and grateful that, and you just write your vision of, I have this amazing, thriving relationship. So if I were doing it, if I were writing this vision for my future, this is what I see, and this is what I saw as I was going through the visualization process with you. So in terms of relationships, I see myself in a really healthy, beautiful, committed relationship with a woman that I'm actively investing my life into. That I'm building towards a long-term relationship with her, that we're connecting in a lot of ways. And I see a picture of her being someone that is someone that I enjoy being with, and someone that fulfills me in a way that I feel stronger and better because of her. And in that relationship, we're experiencing the type of intimacy and trust and connection that I want. Okay? In terms of my money and my financial situation, I see this vision of being able to have an operating business that has products and services that can be automated, that I can serve more and more people. I envision myself having an app that's being used by tens of thousands of people to access information and inspiration. I see myself growing in influence and being able to do workshops and seminars across the country. I see myself financially having over $100,000 in the bank and being able to have this constant flow of income that allows me to travel, and at the same time being able to experience the freedom that I want. In terms of my body, I see this vision of me being healthy and powerful, and being fit enough that I can run a half marathon at any time. So this is my vision for my body and my relationship with people. The vision is one thing, and to be able to describe that and write that out in as much detail as possible, so you know what that feels like, and you can instantly go to that picture you have in your mind, because as you do that, it's going to expand this sense of you having it already made it part of your life. Next process we're going to go through, though, is getting some very specific and clear goals that you can reach towards. And there's two types of goals that are important to understand. There's the quantitative goals, and there's qualitative goals. So what's the difference between a quantitative goal and a qualitative goal? Basically, it's the way in which you measure it. There's goals such as health and finances, which are very qualitative. So I'm going to have you identifying and creating a qualitative and quantitative goal of each of these. Qualitative is more the vision of what you want to have. So for instance, in terms of finances, what that would look like is the qualitative goal that I have is I want to experience abundance, freedom. I want to know that I can travel wherever I want, whenever I want. I want to be able to have an experience of wealth that allows me to have lots of free time. And I also want to know that I'm making a big impact in the world. So qualitative, I want the keywords that are important to me are freedom, are opportunity, and service. So that's a qualitative vision of what I want to have. Quantitative, though, is a very measurable thing. Like with qualitative, you want to be able to, the quantitative, you want to be able to measure that. How will I know that that's true? How will I know that that's a possibility? So quantitative goal would be, for example, for me, is to want to save $100,000 over the course of this next year. And what that looks like for me is to be able to consistently bring in $10,000 to $20,000 a month. I mean, probably realistically, it's $20,000 a month. Right? So that would be an example of a quantitative goal. And for you, your goals might be different. You might want to make $50,000 a month and to make $500,000, or you might want to make $3,000 a month. Like, so don't be attached to anyone else's goal. what's important for you is to get a vision for what you want to create and what you're committed to achieving. Right? So for instance, if my quantitative goal is the measurement I'm looking for is to have $100,000 in the bank and to make $20,000 a month, it becomes a very measurable thing where I can say, okay, am I on track? Am I doing this, or am I not? Then with the relationships, let's talk about relationships. Relationships are much more of a qualitative goal in the way that we describe them, but it's critical that we turn them into some quantitative goals too, so that we know whether or not we're experiencing them. So for instance, for relationships, I want a healthy, passionate, connected relationship. Okay, those are some that's fun and fulfilling and nurturing, right? So those might be some of the words that I use in my vision of the type of relationship I want to have. The quantitative part, okay, what does that look like specifically? That looks like me having, actually that's a fantastic question. How would I measure that? It's so interesting, like when you're moving through a space of dating, like I could have answered that super clearly, like when I was in a married relationship. In a married relationship, maybe what that looks like in terms of quantitative is that you're going on at least one date night a week, and that you're spending at least 10 to 15 minutes a night, connecting, or maybe it's you're sending flowers to her like 3 times a month. I don't know what it is specifically, but you want to be able to measure that so that you know that you're succeeding. Part of the measurement in terms of relationship is like, okay, what are the actions and the how that you can track to move forward? But yeah, get really clear. What's your qualitative goal? What's your quantitative one? In terms of relationships, how would you describe that? What's that vision that you're really reaching towards? And then in terms of health, what's in the qualitative goal is like, I'm healthy, I'm energetic, I'm fit. So those might be some qualitative goals. The quantitative goal for me, for example, would be I want to run a half marathon every month. Okay, so that would be an example of a very measurable goal that I could reach towards. That would allow me to make sure that I'm experiencing the quality that I want. So with that in place, what we're going to be doing is we're going to have you identify in one simple statement your specific goal that you have for 2015 in each of these areas. And in writing these goals, here's a couple keys for writing effective goals. So this is something you probably have heard before, but I'm going to reinforce it. You want your goals to be SMART goals. So SMART is an acronym which represents the S is specific. So your goal has to have so much clarity that your mind's able to see an exact picture of what that looks like. If your goals are fuzzy and blurry and you have a hard time describing them to other people and you have a hard time picturing it yourself, your goals will not have the level of power that's required for you to create the results that you want. So make sure that your goals are very specific. They've got to be measurable. Once again, your mind is wanting to achieve these goals as much as you, but it has to know what is the target that it's reaching towards. How can I measure these goals to really know that it's happening? And they've got to be achievable. Your subconscious has got to believe that these results are really possible. The R is kind of like that. It's got to be realistic, meaning that you've got to be able to map out a plan with that and figure out, okay, these are the steps that I'm going to need to go through to create those things. The challenge is sometimes people set goals that are too crazy and too outrageous, and their brain doesn't believe it's possible, so it doesn't even try. Like, you have to believe it's possible. I'm all for like setting big, crazy, wild, aggressive goals. But you need to be willing to be realistic in that process and figure out, okay, am I really willing to do these steps? The other thing, part of goals is to make them time driven. Okay? So right now we're focusing on 1 year goals. I'm actually going to change this up. And here's why. So we're going to focus, you've got a vision for where you want to be 1 year from now, but I'm not very good with 1 year goals. Like I've noticed this happen over and over again for me. Like I don't do good with 1 year goals because my life in 1 year is so different every year than I expect it to be. So rather than focusing on the 1 year goal, we're going to reinforce this 1 year vision. Okay, so you've got this 1 year vision of what you want to create. So you've got your vision, but your vision is different than these goals. For these goals, I want you to get really clear on 3 months. These are the goals that I like the best. I like 90-day goals because it's very direct, it's very specific, it's very intense. Like there's a drive. You can do a 6-month goal if you want, but right now I'm just going to encourage you. You have a 90-day goal that you're setting, and then at the end of the 90 days, it's like regroup, renew, and refocus, and then you create a new goal. As you're writing these goals, you're going to want to make sure that they're written in the personal, so they're written as I am. That's what your subconscious needs to hear. They need to be in the positive. What that means is you can't write goals that are in the negative because whatever your mind thinks about, it'll focus on. For instance, if you're writing a money goal and say you've got a lot of debt, if your focus is on like, I just want to get out of debt, I don't want to be in debt anymore, what's the picture that comes to your mind, your subconscious? Sure, the picture is debt, right? Just like if I were to tell you, don't think of a pink chihuahua. Don't think it, you're thinking of a pink chihuahua, aren't you? Stop it, I told you not to. Like our brain doesn't process negatives, and so the image that your subconscious has is of debt, or of that chihuahua, or whatever it is. So it's important that the goal is written in positive, and so that the picture that comes to your mind is of what you want rather than what you don't want. Personal, positive. So the other key with goals is to write them in the present. And the reason why it's in the present is because as much as possible, we want to trick our subconscious into believing that we've already achieved these goals. So with that, we're going to be writing our 3-month goals. I'm going to have you guys share them. So be ready to share them. Be ready to engage and write these goals down. Perfect. And I love to see you guys interacting with each other. I really want you to share here. All right. So in terms of these goals for your health, okay, what's a specific measurable goal that you can have for your health goals? All right, so in relation to these health goals, so making it personal, I like to use the words so grateful because I think gratitude is the energy of abundance. I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful. I'm so happy that. I'm so grateful that. I'm so happy that. Whatever you write. This is how all my goals will begin as I'm stating. I'm so happy that by, and then here's the date, okay? That by that by, what's the day that we're focusing? So the date could be January, February, March, so April 1st. We're just going to say by April 1st. So the goal that I'm working on is, because of my ankle, like, and I want you to focus on what's your goal. What's one specific goal you can focus on? This doesn't mean you can't have other goals, but these are what are called driver goals. Your driver goals is the one specific core goal that you're going to be focusing on, that you're determined to do, and then you'll naturally create other goals along the way. By April 1st, so I sprained my ankle playing indoor soccer about 5-6 weeks ago, and I haven't run since then. And so I'm not in the ideal shape that I've wanted to be in, but this is my goal by April 1st, that I will have run. And this is where it becomes very measurable, that by April 1st, I'm so grateful, by April 1st, I have run 3 half marathons. Okay? For me, the reason why half marathons are like my driver goal, like the central goal, is because if I do that, everything else falls in place. I know in order for me to run a half marathon, I've got to be eating healthy, I've got to be actively going to the gym, I've got to be consistent with my workouts, I've got to be consistent with my sleep and the other ways I take care of my health. So it becomes a very specific way that I take care of my body. What is it for you? Maybe you want to start like P90X, and maybe that's your goal, is to finish 90 days of P90X, or maybe it's that you do yoga 3 times a week for the next 90 days, or maybe it's you do a juice cleanse, or you begin a new health program. The key with getting long-term sustainable results, especially in your body and every other, is you're not focused on short-term actions. This is why I do not believe in diets. I don't support diets. I don't encourage diets, because I think diets, I think ultimately they're unhealthy, and ultimately some ridiculous stat, like 97% of all people that start diets fail. Right? So don't do a diet that says, for the next 2 weeks I'm going to lose 25 pounds. That's great, but long-term change comes from long-term practice. You need to be willing to identify, what are you willing to do long-term? What's going to be part of your identity? And this is what we're looking to create. What is your identity? I used to hate running. I used to hate going to the gym. I hated it. Like it was something I didn't like doing. It was hard. It was uncomfortable. But I began to build the identity of a runner that says, I like running. I love how it feels. I love how I feel when I'm done. And I get stronger and stronger all the time. And it became part of my identity, where I see myself now, if I'm not able to run a half marathon, then, because this is the standard that I've been wanting to create in my life. And this is ultimately what I want you to think about. What's the standard? So in the past, my standard in terms of my health was, I was between like 195 and 200 pounds. Now I'm like, my standard's 180. Like that's just where I stay at all the time, just because if I'm not taking care of myself, then I get out of shape. Does that make sense? But because it's become my identity, it just becomes natural. So all I'm saying is, in terms of your health, look at creating whatever your goal is for the next 90 days, make it so it's a goal that you want to sustain long-term. And if the goal is like, hey, I want to do CrossFit for the next 90 days, at least 3 times a week, great, you do that. And hopefully you start reinforcing a habit that will make good changes happen long-term. But you might decide after the 90 days, okay, that was awesome, fantastic, now I'm going to go do this other program, or I'm going to start training for this, okay? So for instance, one of my health goals is, in addition to running a half marathon, I want to do a Spartan race. I've never done that before, and it scares me, and it's going to be intense. But it also really important that I have a goal that scares me, that's way beyond something I've done in the past. All right, so you've got your goal written down. Once again, go ahead and type your health goal right now. What is your health goal? I'm so happy and grateful that by April 1st, I have, what's your goal? I am, maybe it's a specific weight that you're targeting, but once again, you're wanting to do something that's sustainable long-term. So the measurable parts is the number of times you exercise, the type of exercise that you do, your weight, the speed at which you do something. Like for instance, my goal for the year is I want to be my personal best in a half marathon. Okay, so if I were to go 6 months, I'm not having this goal for the next 3 months because it'll be in the summer that I try to beat my personal best. But I know exactly what my personal best is in terms of the time. And so my goal is to beat that personal best, which gives me a very deliberate target to train for and work towards. Okay, that's a very specific goal. And if I actually define a date, I could define, like, I want to run the Big Cottonwood half marathon on June 17th and get my personal best. That would be a very specific target for my mind to focus on and to believe and to train for. So that's what we're looking for. All right. So that's in terms of health. In terms of your relationships, okay? What is your 90-day goal in terms of your relationship? And once again, you want to make it as specific as possible. Relationships are a little bit tricky when you're writing the goals because you want to be able to emphasize the qualitative part as well as the quantitative. And so for this one, it'd be like, I'm so happy and grateful that, let me write that again, by April 1st, I have a healthy and fulfilling relationship if you're married, with my spouse, that I create by, and then you'll add the action steps in this goal. That's what I would recommend. That I have a healthy, connected, thriving relationship with my spouse that I build by going on weekly dates and by expressing appreciation at least 5 times a week. Right? So that might be an example of a very specific and clear goal that you have for the next 90 days. My goal, as I look at this, is different than that. Like, there's a part where I realize in order for me to be in a healthy relationship in the future, to have what I want, to reach my vision, and a year from now of actually being in a committed relationship, I've got to do some personal work, which requires me to actually step away from dating and not date, right? And so I'm focusing on my relationship with myself so that I become more prepared and more ready to start investing in an exclusive relationship with someone else. So the relationship with myself is the relationship I'm focusing on for the next 3 months. So I'm so happy and grateful that by April 1st, I have an amazing relationship with myself that I create by, I have an amazing connection, relationship with myself. And for me, a connection with myself also means a connection with God. Like, I feel like the more I'm connected with myself, the more I connect with God, the more I connect with God, the more I connect with myself. Connection with myself and God by, and this is where I think it's important that we get clear on, okay, what are the actions that we can measure, then know that we're developing it. Because the reality is, I can have an amazing connection with God and myself today. Like, I can create that today. I can go take the next hour, meditate, pray, really connect, and really nurture that relationship. And I think that's great. I think that's great that we're able to access. In terms of your spouse, you can go have a passionate, healthy, amazing connection with your spouse today, and it's going to be investment, but like it's going to be a good thing. But the question is, what's your standard long term within that relationship? So, right. So the way that I am choosing to create an amazing connection with myself and God is by learning to experience joy and being alone, by finding ways um, to nurture my relationship with myself, by pursuing my hobbies, by exploring my painting. So, so by and I'm just kind of exploring this as we're doing this workshop. And I hope as I'm like writing, you're writing your goals. And this is what's important. You go ahead and write your goal for your body, for your health, in the comment bar. Write your goal in terms of your relationship. And as you're writing your goal, it will help everyone else that's on the line get ideas for their relationship as well. So for me, I have an amazing connection with myself by going on dates with myself. This is a good challenge for me. Just dates with myself. Twice a week. Right? And this is me just taking time to be alone and not try to fill. Because one of the patterns I notice for myself is like I get lonely and I just want to reach out, and I create a lot of noise and a lot of entertainment in my life, which keeps me from really being fully present. And so this is a good goal for me, at least twice a week, to not to have like still nights where it's either just me going out and going skiing or snowboarding or doing something just by myself, or staying at home and reading or painting or doing something else that nurtures me. So in terms of your relationship, I think one of the valuable things is for you to identify a list. Like, this is what I'm going to do for myself. Just identify a list of 10 things I enjoy doing to nurture myself. And in that awareness, then I'll have an arsenal of ideas that I can do when I'm spending time with myself. But for you, what does that look like in terms of your relationship? In the next 90 days, how's your relationship going to be different? All right. Now, in terms of finances, be sure to write your goals. You guys aren't writing your goals on here. I'm kind of like, I'm not sure what's going on here. I feel like I need to reach through the camera and give you a little smack in the bum. Come on, share your ideas. Because as you share your ideas, not only does it make me know that you're actually there, and I'm not just talking to myself, but also it'll help inspire other people as well. Okay, so be sure to share this story. Right. So in terms of finances, the next 90 days, okay, as much as clearly as possible, next 90 days. What is your financial goal? What is your goal on money? And once again, we're not going deep into the how right now. We're not explaining how specifically you're doing it. Although the how is a critical part of your goal achievement process to be clear. Okay, how am I actually going to achieve this goal? Right now, we're just setting a target for the next 90 days of where you want to be. So once again, the same thing. I'm so happy and grateful that, right? And really connect to gratitude. It's not just words. You want to really connect to what are you truly grateful for. I'm so happy and grateful now that by April 1st, 2015, right, and if it's a specific amount of money that you want to have in the bank, great. If it's an amount of money that you want to earn, great. If it's something else. So for me, I think the goal that I want to have in the next 90 days, I think the goal that I want to have is overnight. And once again, like, this is you writing your goals. I'm just going through this process because I need to gain more clarity. And for whatever reason, by sharing with you, like, it gives me added accountability. So I think the goal that I want to have is I want to create over. I think the goal that would scare me and push me is over $75,000. By April 1st, paid over $75,000 in income. Oh, anyway, that's it. I'm not going to elaborate on that anymore. For me, and once again, this is just for me. And for me, financially, whatever your financial goal is. Once again, this is all about you figuring out what you want to do in the next 90 days. For you, what does that look like? Because the how becomes critical, because I need to be willing to put forth whatever effort will create that fruit. And the same is true with you. Whatever your fruit is, if you want to save $5,000 over the next 3 months, great. What are you willing to do? The actions? Are you willing to go through the effort? Are you willing to save the money that's required? Right? Are you willing to have your actions and beliefs be in alignment with what you want to have? And then income, as we go into the how, like this is always associated with service to me, right? For me, like I'm not really that attached to money per se. Like that's never been a huge driver for me. But when I set a target, it's like this, okay, great, how many people do I get to serve so that I can easily reach this target? Right? Because contribution, money is always a reflection of the contribution we make in our businesses. Like business, ultimately, at the end of the day, is our way of serving other people. And the more we serve, the more we get paid. The more we're selfish and greedy and shy and reserved and don't help other people, the more we struggle financially. So as we get clear on the how, this number becomes really important. All right, so you've got your goals. Be sure to share those goals. Write them down. What is your goals that you have in terms of your relationship, in terms of your body? Okay. Good. All right, so next step. Now that you've written your goals, you should have 3 clearly defined goals. Next step is to write those goals in a place that you'll be able to see them all the time. So that if I walked up to you anytime, if I walked up to you anytime, I said, hey, so what's your goal in terms of your health? If you'd be able to shout it out really quickly. My goal is to run 3 half marathons before April 1st. That's super clear and very specific. It's time driven, it's achievable, it's realistic. What about in terms of your relationship? Well, my relationship is over the next 3 months to develop an amazing connected relationship with myself by at least twice a week, having dates with myself where I focus on building my relationship with God and doing things in nurturing. Very specific goal, right? And I could get more specific in terms of what those things look like, but that's something I got to do in my own process of the how. Specific, measurable, achievable, time-driven. So in terms of your 90-day goal, my goal over the next 90 days is to create over $75,000 in new income. Right? So if that's my goal, is it specific? Yes, it's specific. Is it measurable? Yes. Is it achievable, attainable, realistic? Yes. Is it time-driven? Yes, because it's going to happen by April 1st. Does this make sense? So now that you've gotten those identified, then we're not going to have time to really explore all of the how. The how is really critical as you're exploring this fruit that you're wanting to create. You've got to ask yourself, okay, what is the actions that I get to take to be able to create this? So I'll walk you through verbally like my goals and how I go through this process. But as I do, I'm going to encourage you to be writing and ask yourself, okay, so if this is the objective, if this is where you're going to be, where you're determined to be in the next 90 days, then what does that look like? And so for me, what that looks like specifically in terms of the how, in order to do this, number one, I'm going to continue to nurture my ankle back to health. And so I'm not going to actually start running for another 2 weeks, but I'm going to start doing elliptical at least 20 to 30 minutes a day. When I am able to run, I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be following a schedule that I get from, there's this website called marathonrookie.com. When I ran my first marathon, that really helped me a lot. So I'm going to be downloading a schedule and running at least 4 times a week, right? So that'd be an example of a very specific how I'm going to create this. Okay, and I've got my membership to the gym. I'm going to be running in the morning because that's when I like running the most. Okay, so that's that goal. And then I'm also, I could also add how in terms of, okay, I'm doing also, I've got energy drinks and protein drinks that I'll drink before and after to make sure that my body's getting the nutrition I need, so I'm not playing. That's an example of that. In terms of relationship goals, the how requires me, okay, I'm going to write a list of 10 things that I'd like to do when I'm by myself so I can build this relationship with myself. I'm going to hire a relationship coach or hire a coach that can help me process and dig through some of the blocks that I've been experiencing that have kept me from being willing to commit, being willing to connect as deeply as I want. You know, so that's an example of the how with that. And then I'm actually going to put this on the schedule. Nothing, and I want you to write this down. This is so important. Success is scheduled. Success is scheduled. Remember this, because this is vital to remember. If you can't put it on the calendar, it doesn't exist in your mind, right? Your mind needs to know what that looks like. So I would, like with running and practicing this, I can put it on the calendar. So on this date, on this date, on this date, I'm going to run these half marathons. And that's going to be important for me to do, of being able to write that down. In terms of my relationships, I'm going to identify. So for me, Mondays and Thursdays are my best days to have this connection. And then the other days, I can create that as well. But I'm going to dedicate these days to be like days that I get to have by myself. Okay? Put it on the calendar, is what I'm saying. When is it going to happen? And in terms of money, so for me, I've got some very specific programs that I'm launching and doing, including an event in Hawaii, the big Hawaii. If you guys want to come and have like a blast with us and experience an amazing transformation, we're going to be doing this experience, this adventure in Hawaii that I'm really excited about. It'll probably be end of April that we actually do the event. We'll be doing everywhere from hiking volcanoes to playing at the beach to doing some deep transformational work inside. We're going to be exploring what it means for you to live big, and we're going to be living big, and we're going to be doing some amazing stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know. And I'll give you all the details on that. But that's one of the things I'm going to do. I'm launching my new Creator Alliance program. I'm again putting in 10 coaches and speakers and authors that I'm going to personally mentor through the process of growing their business. That's something that I'm going to be doing. I've got a very specific process that I'll be enrolling and marketing and doing that. And once again, if you're interested in being a coach or a speaker and you want to explore being mentored, let me know about that. Then I've got another Live Big coming up in February. So I've got all of these specific things in my how, and then I'm going to be launching some new programs, including a partnership that I'm developing with a coach out of California. So I'm clear on I'm clear on components of the how I'm going to create this, but there's also specific details that I get to figure out that I can continue to nurture and be more deliberate about. Okay, so write down and take some time, even if you're not able to complete it right now, do that today. Write out your vision, your map of how you're going to do that, and then post that so you can review that. One of the most valuable times to review your goal is first thing in the morning or right before you go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, your mind's fresh and you're like ambitious and like it gives you directional reminder for what you're doing. And when you program yourself right before you go to bed, then when you program yourself right before you go to bed, then your mind keeps working on it all through the night. So that when you wake up in the morning, you'll be more motivated. You'll wake up with answers and ahas and inspirations. It's powerful the way that you program your brain. So I recommend that you review your goal every night, the 5 minutes before you go to bed. Like read, okay, this is my goal, this is my how, and then you begin thinking about the day that you have in advance, the day that's coming up tomorrow. And then the other aspect is when you wake up in the morning, have those goals like right in front of you. Again, it's just reinforcing your subconscious these goals. So I'm going to rewrite these goals and then place them someplace in my room or in my mirror so that I am like really clear on these goals, so that I'm working towards them. And I'm going to review not only what I'm creating, but how. The other thing that I want to mention is the importance that you're not limiting your success. So notice how I said over 75,000. Like I might make, $150,000 in that next 2 months. I don't know, but I want to make at least this base amount. And so when you use like words over or more than, it doesn't have your subconscious. It just lets you know that this is the baseline that you're looking to move beyond. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's right. Are you guys enjoying this? This is my first time doing a live workshop like this from my home, and I love seeing your comments, but I'm kind of needing some validation here, just knowing that you guys are getting something out of this. You're actually engaged. So just let me know if you're enjoying this. Thank you. You can put some virtual clapping or say nice job, Gerald, or I like your haircut. So I actually gave myself a haircut. I was like, the lady that does my haircut wasn't available till Saturday, and I was like all bushy and I was all hairy, so I got out my clippers, and it was not a pretty sight. It was a bad idea, but if I'm looking for positive validation, so if you like my haircut, let me know. All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit right now, and we're going to move into 2 more aspects of creating your goals. That's really, really important. Number 1, we're going to be talking about productivity and how to take your goals and implement them on a daily basis. And then we're also going to be exploring creating an expert plan. So these are both downloads that I gave you. If you haven't downloaded them yet, that's okay, but I would recommend you do this. We're probably only going to be taking another 15, 20 minutes right now, and then I'm happy to answer questions. And if you need to take a break, like Christina, like I see that you need to pee, please feel free to go take a break. Again, I'm a big fan of that idea, so go take care of yourself. All right, but I'm going to keep going anyway, so hurry up and get back, right? All right, so we're going to go over productivity right now. I'm going to share with you some very specific things that will help you implement these things on a daily basis, because I'm not interested in you writing goals and forgetting about them. I'm not interested with you getting a lot of information in your head. Information without application is worthless, like it's powerless, right? So what I'm going to encourage you to do is really apply these things. And this is one of the ways that you take the concept and create movement in your life, you create change. We're going to be talking about productivity and how to get more done in less time, and how to actually make it so that this New Year's isn't one of those New Year's that you You have these affirmations and you have these ideas, but then you never do anything. So you've already begun the most important process. So there's two core things that are universal among all top performers, all top achievers, and here they are. Write it down. The first is the top achievers are always wanting to learn. They're always wanting to expand. They're always going to want to be better. They're always wanting to evolve their skills and their knowledge and their awareness. Like all transformation begins with a change in perspective. The more we see the world differently, the more the world changes. And so, so it's critical that we begin with this internal desire and drive to become better. The fact that you're here, the fact that you've invested the last like 2.5 hours and on like a Friday to go through these processes and work on this, that says a lot about you. Honestly, it says that you're the type of person that's committed to change, committed to growth, committed to making these things happen. But in order for that to happen, it's going to require this ongoing commitment to feeding your mind with information that will support you. So the first thing I'm going to share with you is this plan called the expert plan, right? The expert plan is something that I created to help me document the things that I'm going to be focusing on my learning journey moving forward. And as you've identified this vision for where you want to be 1 year from now, it requires you to get clear, okay, what are the skills that I need to learn that will help me develop that? What are the books that I can read? Who are the other experts that have already gotten those results that I can study? Who are the people that I can interview or that I can talk to about this that have those results? And then building a plan to gain experience in those areas. So, so this expert plan is really important. So when you look at, in terms of your body, your health, what is it that you need to become a master of, that you need to learn so that you can take better care of your body? What are the books that you can read to develop that awareness? So as I'm saying this, I've got the book Body for Life. I've never read it, but I have it. I've had the intention of reading it. But I think I want to put that on my list of things to study. I want to study Body for Life. I want to learn from someone about how to increase my capacity and increase my my time, like, so I can get a better time with my marathon. So I've got a friend that, you know, he wins all these races. Like he's ridiculously fast, and he's been through major accident, but he's been able to come back and win. So I'm going to take him out for lunch. So those are examples of my education plan, my master plan, as it relates to my body. I'm going to read Body for Life in the next 90 days, and I'm going to talk to Walter Brown. And the other thing that I think I might do is I might reach out and see if I can connect with a running group, or I can get around other runners. So that's an example of my expert plan in relation to that. And once again, I would write those things down. Okay, these are the books that I'm going to read. This is someone I'm going to talk to. This is a course I'm going to take. Maybe my plan to get specific experiences, I'm going to find a running group that I can run with at least twice a month. Right? So that would be an example of that. My expert daily practice is what's the specific thing that I can do, like today or this week, to make sure that I do this. All right. So I got a question from Marina. I want to address this. So health, relationship, finances, they all need to work in my life. Is it too much to take on all these goals and change things in all areas? The reality is, if you have too many goals, you'll probably shut down. You won't create any change. Right? Like if you had like 4 or 5 relationships, and I've done this, and I'm sure you've probably done this too, where it's just like, yeah, I want to change this, I want to change this, I'm going to start doing this, I'm going to start doing this. Like if you do too many things, it dilutes your focus and your power, right? And so this is why I recommend you have one driver goal, but I do believe that you can have one driver goal in each of your areas, and I think that's important. Because I think you can develop and nurture your relationships and your health and your finances. I mean, you're going to be spending time in all those areas anyways, So this is just directing your intention in those areas in a positive way. But honestly, I wouldn't have more than 1 or 2 goals in these areas. So I might, with my health goal, I might add, I want to be able to do 15 pull-ups, right? And that could be a goal that I can add that supports me, but I'm still going to have like my running be my foundational goal. I hope that makes sense. Because it's a great question, because it's so easy to get overwhelmed, so easy to do too much, and then we shut down because we're trying to take on too much change at one time. I'm more interested in you figuring out, okay, what's the long-term vision, and what are those little decisions I can make along the way that will help me evolve, right? It's got to be simple. It's got to be simple, because that's the only way it will actually happen. It's a great question. Thank you. All right, so your expert plan, continuing with that. When you look at your relationships, what are the things that you can do to develop mastery in these relationships? So I'm a little biased, but if you're looking to develop a more intimate relationship with your spouse, more powerful, connected relationship, then I've got a recommendation for you. There's this special book called The Marriage Advice I Wish I Would Have Had, but divorce taught me about living life. There's a lot of great relationship books out there. I've put a lot of my time, heart, and energy into creating this. And as a couple, it's got a ton of different activities and exercises that you can do to master the skills. And so I think it's a great tool or resource, and you could put that on your education plan. There's a series of bonuses, including free calls and training that I've done. Maybe that would be things that you could listen to. Listen to the 4 free training calls on Foundations for an Epic Marriage, right? And you can put that on your education plan. Maybe there's a specific person, you look at the relationships, like, oh my gosh, you have such an amazing relationship. Take them out for lunch and pick their brain and figure out, okay, what did you do to create that relationship? How did you do that? The next goal, the next aspect is, okay, what's your specific plan? How are you going to develop mastery in that area? Like, for instance, if communication is an area that you've been struggling in your relationship, what can you do to practice being more powerful in your in your communication? How can you practice that? Thank you for all of the kind comments, by the way. That means a lot. I appreciate that. All right, so in terms of your money, like, what are the specific skills? Like, if you want to be world-class at what you do, what are the skills that you need to master there? So in terms of, like, if you're an entrepreneur, the 2 core skills that I think always need to be developed are your skills in marketing and your skills in influence or sales. Right? Those are your 2 core skills, and then the skills of business. So for me, I want to learn how to market on, with PR and to be more efficient and effective with that. I want to learn how to utilize fan pages and learn how to grow my social media audience more effectively. And I want to learn how to, develop an audience through my app, right? So I need to launch an app. So there's a lot that I get to learn, in terms of my business. And so once I identify this, then what I do is I schedule a time that's going to happen. So the way that I personally build my schedule, as we move into kind of productivity and planning your day, making things happen, the way that I plan my schedule is I want to have at least 1 hour a day that I can be focusing on my mastery skills, right? I want to be making sure that I am actively growing. And I'll be like really transparent with the fact that over the last year, I haven't done the best job. Like, I really coasted for a bit because I was focused on other things. But this year, I feel like this kick, I feel this drive. I know that I could expand. I know that I could stretch myself. And so I'm going to be spending more time deliberately, working on that. So I've got books that I'm planning on reading. I've got a lot of things I'm going to practice writing. I'm going to be practicing creating. And so the way that my schedule looks like, in terms of productivity, here's a core principle that I want to talk about. It's the principle of time blocking. Okay? This is when you take chunks of time throughout your day to focus your energy on a given task. One of the biggest biggest thing that keeps us as a society from being productive is what? It's distraction, right? And the distractions come in a lot of forms. It comes in, people wanting to interrupt you. It comes in phone calls and texts and emails. It comes from browsing the internet, by getting lost on Facebook, by getting stuck watching YouTube videos of cats, whatever it is. Like the world is full of distractions, and you get stuck browsing, right? Just wandering without being intentional. Time blocking, what this does is, this is something that really all successful people do, is they find concentrated time that they can make progress on a specific thing. So with time blocking, it's when you dedicate blocks of time over the next day where you're going to be focused on that. So for instance, what that looks like for me is, so from about 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning is my personal time where I'll do a power hour, where I'll go exercise, where I'll take some time to meditate, where I'll shower and get ready for the day, and I'll just kind of clear my space, remind myself of my goals, listen to affirmations. So from 6 to 8 is going to be, so this block of time from 6 to 8 is going to be personal power time. Okay? Personal power from 6 to 8. And then from 8 to 9, 8 to 9 is going to be my mastery hour. Okay? My mastery hour is when I take my mastery plan, my expert plan, and identify the books that I want to read, and I'll take an hour where I'm reading. I don't read to finish a book. I read to find a principle or nugget that I can latch onto, and then I take time to think about it and process it, and maybe journal about it, maybe write a Facebook post, or maybe write a blog entry. So I'm looking for those aspects. Sometimes my master hour might look like, one of the things I want to do is I want to create more videos and put more content out online. And so that mastery plan would be, okay, during this hour, I'm going to see if I can create 3 videos based on relationships, and we'll do that. Right? And it's just, more than anything, this is just practice time. This is me helping me build my reserve and information and insights, to study people that I look to as mentors. So this is going to be all preparation for my day. And then, just for an example, maybe from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock would be marketing time, right? Where I focus on marketing. And this doesn't have to be every day. Like, you can shift, maybe like on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, you focus on marketing during this time. And then from 11 to 4 is like working with clients. So there's when you're blocking this time, then it gives you this access to really focus your energy. And this is what is so important about productivity, your ability to focus on one task at a time. And so what that means is, like, during your mastery hour, you turn off your phone, and you turn off the internet, and you're not browsing Facebook. You actually schedule time for that to happen. Do I always do this? No, I don't. I'm not going to pretend like I do that. But when I'm highly productive, I do. And when I'm highly unproductive, then I just keep Facebook on, and every time I hear that ding, I go, oh, I wonder what's new on Facebook, and I actively avoid life. And that's not what I recommend if you want to be highly productive. But we all go in these cycles. There's sometimes we're super ambitious, and sometimes we're not. And like, I don't beat myself up when I'm not, but I also recognize how much better I feel about myself when I am getting things done, when I am making a difference, when I am contributing, when I am, making progress with different things. So that's a principle of time blocking. Right now, I'm going to be walking you through the productivity planner, and there's so much more to do, but we're not going to be able to finish it. I just want to finish with the productivity planner, and then give you a few more tools or exercises for you to work on. So the productivity planner is a powerful tool where there's this. I recommend you do this before you go to bed at night. And what this looks like is, it's really you taking all of the stuff that's going on inside your brain and putting it onto paper so that your brain has some focus and clarity. So the two things that I mentioned that are critical for top performers, the first is that they have this desire to learn, they have this desire to grow, they have this desire to master these skills. But then the second key is that they have clearly defined goals and a plan for their achievement. So there's this there's a study that was done in 1953 at Yale University, and I love this story just because I think it relates so much to why top performers get the results they do and why other people don't. So, so in 1953, they studied these graduates of Yale University, and they noticed that only 3% of these people had clearly defined goals and a plan for their achievement. Only 3%. Now, in the next 20 years, they kept track of these people, and after 20 years, they went back and studied the same people. And what they noticed was something interesting. This top 3% that had what? Clearly defined goals, the plan for their achievement. They had healthier relationships. They were more healthy in general. They were happier. They were more fulfilled. They had more. They just had great lives. Comparatively. But what made the study really interesting is this top 3%. They had accumulated more wealth and more financial abundance than the other 97% combined. So what does that tell you about it? When you look at your past, have you had clearly defined goals? And you're constantly refining and working on the plan for their achievement? I would venture to guess that if you're like the majority of the population, you probably haven't done the best job at this. But this is an easily learnable skill. You've already gone through this process today of clearly defining your goals, and that gets to be something you continue to expand on. And then from there, I'm just working on the how. The productivity planner is a way for you to get more and more clear on the how each and every day. You don't have to have it all figured out for the rest of your life, but identify what are the next steps today. So with that, the first key for productivity planner is identifying your core projects that you're working on. So for instance, if I'm doing this for my work, what I would look at is, okay, my core projects that I'm working on. The first is my Creator Alliance program. Once again, I'm just doing this as a sample for you. Creator Alliance. The next is launching my app. And the next is your things, right? So these would be like the three main projects that I'm focusing on in my business. There's other things too, but like I want to simplify it down to three core projects that I'm intentionally going to move forward. And then with each of your different projects that you're working on, and once again, re-emphasizing, okay, what is the core goal that I'm working towards? Okay, I'm working, once again, this is just me, like I'm working to make over $75,000 over the next 3 months. And so what that looks like is in terms of Creator Alliance, I need to plan this event, this expert summit for 50 speakers I need to set up, I need to promote, coming up on January 27th, I need to, for that I need to set up a website, I need to make phone calls to people that would match, I need to market on social media, I need to set up my calendar so that I can do one-on-one. So there's a bunch of little steps, and I'm just doing this as an example. So under each project, I'm going to be identifying the top 5 steps that would help move that project forward, right? In terms of my app, then I'd be saying, okay, here's what I need to do to be able to get that done. In terms of live big, then I'd be identifying, okay, to get our Hawaii event in place or to get our February event filled. Here's the steps I need to do. So basically, in each of these different projects, you'll be identifying stuff. And the powerful thing is once you get it out of your head and onto your paper, it clears the emotional chaos of your mind because your mind's not trying to track all of this stuff. Your mind can settle down and be present, and then you can rationally look at this and say, okay, I can see how I can do this, right? And you'll be way more effective at actually getting these things done when you're not relying on the chaos inside your brain. The second part is the people, okay? So the people, there's 2 different types of people that I have here. I have what's called the hit list, the hot list. So the hit list is, okay, who are the specific people I need to contact to get these things done? So maybe there's a web person that I need to contact. Maybe there's a developer that I need to talk to about an app. Maybe there's, I need to call the place that, you know, runs the event. I need to call my event manager. Or I need to call, like, who are the specific people on the hit list that you need to contact within the next 24 to 48 hours. You write them down, right? Once again, once it's out of your brain, then you can start creating a plan. The hot list is different. The hot list is like, okay, who are the people that you would like to develop a closer relationship with? Who are the people that you want to nourish a relationship with? And this could be potential partners. It could be just people that you want to become friends with, that you want to develop that relationship with. People that want to reach out, people that might be mentors or heroes of yours that you want to connect with. So write those down and start working towards those. And then the next is we get projects, people, and last one is priorities. Okay? So this is what highly productive people do, is they'll take all of their to-do list and then they'll prioritize them and make sure that they get the top priorities done first. You guys have probably heard or seen this analogy before where imagine that you've got like this jar and you've got like these big rocks, you've got some smaller rocks, you've got some even smaller rocks, and then you've got some sand. If you take all of the sand and then put it in first, and then you put the smaller rocks on top, and then the little bit bigger rocks on top of that, there's no room in the container for the big rocks to be there, right? You run out of space. But if you do just the opposite and you take the rocks first, the big rocks first, and put those in, then you take those smaller rocks and put them in, and they kind of fit around the cracks, and then you take the smaller rocks and put them in, and they kind of fit in there. And then you take the sand and you pour the sand in, and then all of a sudden you have everything done. And our time is kind of like that. When you focus on the most important things first, everything else falls into place. But when you do the least important things first, then all of a sudden you don't have time to get the most important things done. So with that, when you look at all of your activities and all the things you do, what's the number one most important thing? What's the number two most important thing? And just start listing them out. And start going down and creating a checklist of things for you to do, beginning with most important to least important. When you do this, then you wake up the next day and you've got a very deliberate plan, and then you focus your energy through time blocking on the most important tasks. And when you do that, you focus on that task until it's done, and you don't move to number two until number one's done. There's sometimes that you have projects, say like writing a book or something that it's going to take more than an hour, right? And if that's the case, then you just dedicate, I'm going to focus 1 hour of time, or I'm going to focus 2 hours of time on it and get as far as I can. And then I'm going to move to the next project, right? And that's a way that you kind of manage moving forward. So you do this, like I promise you do this over this next upcoming week and start to make it a habit to do ongoing, you'll notice that you get twice as much done in half the time. Like it's ridiculous how much more effective you'll be when you're using this tool. So once again, there's a link down below that you can access that, you can print that out, you can use that. Once again, it's just my gift to you. My hope is that that you use it, that you actually use these print today. Because these goals that you have, you deserve them. And it's important for you to reach towards your dreams. Your dreams have been given to you for a reason. So cling on to the dreams and know that every day you're making a choice of what you're going to vote for, whether you're going to be voting for your doubts, your fears, your insecurities, your excuses, or you're going to be voting for what's truly important to you. But it's going to take work, it's going to take action, it's going to take you to constantly refine and develop this plan, and then nurturing this positive belief in who you are. There's a lot more that we can teach about realigning your beliefs and making it possible, about getting the right strategies to make these results easier. We don't have time to cover them this morning, but I encourage you, if you haven't, or even if you have, like, come to Live Big, where we can focus more on this work. And for 3 days, we put you in this immersive experience where you do the most important work of your life, which is feeding the 6 inches between your ears and investing in that, and then refining your heart and your vision of who you really are, so that you walk away having more clarity of your power as a conscious creator, your power as this unlimited and divine being that you are, and your power to really create the relationships, the health, and the money that you want. So please come to Live Big. There's a link there down below if you haven't got the copy of the book, Marriage Advice, which I would have had. Go ahead and check that out. And if you are, if you're looking for someone to mentor you or coach you through this process, and especially if you're interested in being a coach, a speaker, a trainer, and you want to know how to become an expert, or you're a commission-based salesperson, you just want to know how to build your brand more effectively and make more money, just reach out to me, and we can explore what that would look like to coach you. Feel free to send me a private message, and I'll send you a link to my calendar. I just want to close with this story, and just a reminder of who you truly are. Back in the early 1900s, there was this group of monks who was traveling. They were fleeing some oppression, some persecution. And as they were traveling, they were carrying this big clay statue that they had, this relic, a sacred relic, or this statue of Buddha. And as they were traveling, they set up camp, and one night they put it down. And one of the monks in the middle of the night came out just to check on it. And somehow, while they were traveling, there developed like this crack in the clay. And that night, as he was out there looking at it, he saw this strange light coming from inside. And he looked at it, and he noticed that the moon was reflecting through the crack, and there was something shining inside. He was baffled and really curious, and he started to chip away at the clay. Well, the next morning, when all the other monks came out to where this clay statue once was, the clay statue was no longer there. Instead, in the middle of the courtyard where it had been placed, stood this amazing, gorgeous, golden statue. It was immensely valuable, way more than they ever would have imagined, way more than the clay statue was. And when they did some research, they found out that in order to protect it from an invading army years before, that they had covered it with clay to make it so it didn't look like it was a valuable object. I want you to think about this. The reality is, who are you? Who are you really? I know sometimes it's easy for us to see our flaws and our weaknesses and to see ourselves as just a clay statue. But I'm here to remind you that you are so much more. You are this divine, eternal being. You are this incredibly powerful creator that has the ability to shape the life that you want. And in doing so, you are an inspiration to those around you. And I hope you never take for granted or never dismiss the amount of influence that you have on other people's lives. I don't think you even know the ripple effect that you really have, and how many people's lives are better because of who you are. And this year, as you step more into creating these results and to, shining your light and creating like what your heart's yearning for you to create. In this experience, I just want to remind you that sometimes it can be a hard journey. It really can. But that's okay. That's part of the refinement process. That's part of chipping away the old clay to help reveal who you truly are. And even through that process, even when we're kind of in the messy journey of transformation, you're still making a big difference in other people's lives. So keep making that difference. You find someone today that you can reach out to and just let them know how much you love them. Speak some kind words, some life-giving words into their heart. You have no idea who needs it and who you might be able to influence when you open up your heart and share more authentically, more givingly. I'm going to take a few minutes right here, and I'm happy to answer a few questions. If you have questions, just type them up. I'm just going to take a few questions, and I want you to also take a moment and share what your insights, what are your ahas. Take a moment to share, from this morning that we've had, the last 3 hours as we've been working on your goals. What are you taking away from this experience, and what are you going to do next? What are your goals? And so go ahead and write those questions down and share your comments so that I can be able to review those. So there obviously is a little time lapse between like when I speak and when you actually watch this, so your comments come through a little bit later. But as soon as I see those, I'll answer whatever questions are coming up. A few other things that I just want to mention in terms of a process that I'm going to recommend for you to do right now is, now that you've identified what you want, like make sure that you've written your 3 goals out clearly. You have those posted, you have those put up in a mirror or someplace that you can see them, review them day and night. Take some time to review the plan of how you're going to create that. Each of the plans, like write down specifically, this is what I'm going to do, these are the actions I need to take, these are the things I need to stop doing. Try to figure out what that looks like specifically. Your mind needs to be able to see you doing those things. Make it simple, but then put it on the schedule. Last thing is, take some time and figure out who do you need to be to naturally create these things. And write a list of affirmations of who you need to be that would naturally take those actions and you can create those results. And with affirmations, I'm a big believer in affirmations, and I think it's a powerful tool for us to get more and more clear of who we are and remind ourselves that we're not the clay, but instead we're like this divine, sacred being. And so what I recommend is that you take some time, write out your affirmations, and write all of the things that you need to believe to be able to do that. And the more you reinforce it, the better. So NASA said, how often should we sit down and plan? And once again, it just depends on how effective you want to be. The most effective people take time, whether it's 5, 10, 20 minutes a day, and sit down and say, okay, what am I going to create tomorrow? The most effective time to do it is right before you go to bed. But you get to choose. Like what that looks like and what really works for you. And this is where you get to be empowered as a conscious creator. Like, in order for you to create that design, that lifestyle that you really want, how are you going to be developing that? So I recommend that maybe once a week you sit down and do more in-depth planning. Maybe once a week, at least once a month, you want to sit down and do a goal review and say, okay, am I on track? So much of the goal achievement process is really getting clear, am I moving forward and am I aligning with this vision? Are the decisions that I'm making doing this? And the more you can realign on a daily basis, the easier it is for you to get that result. Perfect. So with that, I am going to sign off. Once again, look forward to seeing you guys in the next little bit. It's coming up soon. If you're interested in any support in coaching, or if you're interested in becoming a coach, a speaker, an author, and you want to get some insights on how to do that, I can share with you the Creative Minds program and see if it's a match for you or not. And then, most importantly, continue to share your success. Let me know your experiences, and I'm just really excited to be on this journey with you. I love you so much. Give me a big hug. Oh yeah, big hug. And with that, I'm going to sign off and take care. I love you. Have an amazing year. In fact, just have an amazing life. And you might as well have an amazing day at the same time. Take care.